Oh, I'll start it now.
You've been missing all this fucking gold?
This is content, man.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of similar content.
I mean, my address is on me. For sure.
Your new
All
one?
right.
But your new one that you're moving to?
Where your wife lives?
No,
Wait,
my
Wait,
wife.
did you guys
no.
you guys got married?
No.
No,
Oh, I thought you were.
because
Yeah,
we
I
don't
thought you
want
were
we
waiting.
don't want my financials to mess up her ability to get a loan. But then once I can get her to forget about that, we'll get married.
To
Well,
get a
just
what?
because you were married doesn't mean you have to go in alone together, though.
Yeah, but we
That's
don't know
correct.
anything about loans, so we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah, we
bought
had
the
this-
house already, or she's
we
in
had
the
the
process
same
of buying
issue.
it?
Our closing day is the 21st of May.
That's my
Oh, that's
moving
very
day.
soon.
Yeah, it's real soon. It's real soon. We need BG&E to take this power cord off of the house, though, so we'll see what happens.
I'm halfway through packing all my books.
Oh,
I'm gonna
awesome.
do more of that now.
I'm looking forward to packing all.
Oh yeah, you guys closed.
Yeah, we're moving. We're moving on Friday.
Nice. Congrats.
We've been in the house for a week. I built a closet with my dad and my friend Adam.
Ooh, I'm gonna Can I rearrange these? Yeah, I'm gonna put all the homeowners on one side, and all of the other miscellaneous on the other side.
What side am I going on?
You're on my side, baby.
No, this isn't. We're outnumbered, Ryan. Why are you doing this? We're gonna lose. This is your choice. Why are you? No.
It's exactly even as
wait,
far as
wait. No. It's even split because Connor doesn't own shit.
yeah.
Oh, okay. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
Connor's looking
Also, though, this is putting things in their proper category. Segregation. Everybody wins. Everybody knows where they belong.
Okay, Varg.
Varg.
All right, so we haven't done this in a while, and is because we had a huge party for Mark Aramini's birthday.
Yep.
That's right.
I'm just recovering now, and it was weeks ago. Legendary party.
Yeah, it was maybe
Very
a bad
nice.
a bad idea to do the one-handed push-up contest after having so much raw booze.
Yeah.
Blood wine. We drank blood wine.
Yeah.
Swing
I
on
was
blood wine.
maintaining plasma and roiding out hard.
2-week roid hangover. Anyway,
This is what that looks like.
This
Right.
would have been the appropriate part to talk about where Connor got an award for his input to the.
Yeah, I feel like it's relevant. That was the most popular conversation on that Facebook page ever, I think. Like, it was like 1 million comments. And it was like, Connor, wouldn't you say that most people were sort of left-ish in their responses?
No. I would say that it was an astonishingly even spread.
Mm-hmm.
now when you say, okay, so we're talking about a thread on Facebook where Connor said, like, yo, you guys are sounding a little right-wing with all, specifically because they kept using the acronym SJW, right?
Right. There's
Which
a-
is
a man-
weirdly, it's like that is, I thought we had like gone a couple seasons since that was in fashion. I don't
Well,
think,
I think that the man wasn't keeping up with this. Who was using it? He wasn't keeping up with what we were using, the seasonal slang necessarily.
oh, really? So it was just one guy that kept saying it?
Yeah, it's named Pete.
Pete.
Peet.
It's so weird because I feel like that stance has been refined, and that there's now like, you know, like Greenwald is like, and you know, he's not the same as the person who rails against SJWs, but I feel like he and some other writers have kind of staked out a territory that's critical of that mindset in a way that would appeal to the person who's angry about that, but also is like not out of fashion. I don't know.
This is a man who's just there to tell the people on the Gene Wolfe Facebook group, SJWs can't handle Gene Wolfe. Like, that's his whole thing.
Huh.
And it's like anything that anybody else says, he says that.
Hmm.
And then like gets real upset when people handle it just fine.
Huh.
You know?
Do you know if this man has any religious affiliations?
Yeah, he's very, very Catholic.
But is he trad
Part of the thread that I put up was a huge discussion as to whether or not certain people are Catholic, one of which is Joe Biden. Because apparently he's like a registered Catholic, but he's not allowed. He was refused communion recently because he believes in abortion.
Huh. Well, we stumble into that giant nest of American Catholics being predominantly liberal.
Exactly. There was one man who says, I'm sure that we all agree that all Catholics are conservative.
That's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just hasn't been the actual case in America's history.
Right. I think this is based entirely upon the idea of abortion, that like Catholics are into abortion, and you can't support abortion and be Catholic, and you can't. You know what I'm fucking doing.
Yeah, well, somebody should tell that to all those nuns.
Right, and like the people who were invented burning your draft card during the Vietnam War and stuff.
And all of South America. Although I feel like there's a pretty strong anti-abortion sentiment in much of South America.
Well, and Brazil's all right wing.
Anyway, so you stirred up the Gene Wolfe Facebook group. I feel like there's multiple Gene Wolfe podcasts now too. There's more.
Yeah.
People listen to those yet at all? I mean, I don't have time to listen to those and read and do this club, so
I don't really listen.
Someone else to listen to those.
I don't really like listen to new podcasts.
I don't listen to old podcasts even.
I have my ones that I like, and those are the only ones.
There's no room for new ones.
No, if I was like driving for my job, maybe I'd test out some new ones, but I don't drive for my job, so.
Yeah.
Even when I was driving for my job, there wasn't room for new ones.
There's only so much
information that we
information
have to be driving
that we
cross
can
country all the time. You
take
have to be
in.
driving all the time.
You know, if you're a person who
Joggers
reads
like
and
to
watches
find you
movies
back
and
there.
watches shows and plays video games, you can't also like something's got to get cut off. You know,
It's
and so,
true.
Like,
I'm not
podcast
that
has to
person,
be
but I
super
also
good for me to get into it.
I'm not that person. I don't do all those things, but I do other things
Right.
outside of the
Like you have
consumption of
a life.
media that take up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, these cats are going crazy.
I
like to climb up this rug.
That's it.
Mark looks like he's about to like bust into some kind of OK Go video or something.
It's just me packing.
A very innovative new music video.
Wow.
Like 4 identical Marks will come out of some boxes.
So, did anybody read the selection for today?
I did. I read 7 and 8 last night because I just felt like maybe there was a chance we'd get to talk about both because not a ton happens in 7.
The walking up to that's the walking up the hill chapter, right?
That it starts with Remora and Gulo. I would just like to pull out that Tim's name, Patera Culo. That Culo in Latin means ass.
Nice.
So it's double funny.
That's what I meant to do that.
Triple funny, maybe. Okay, so we got Remora and Culo, which is almost could have been infuriating, but I feel like he gets it. I got through it without being infuriated.
You felt,
Why?
but
What are
you
you
almost felt infuriated.
Because just Remora is so horrible in every possible way, which I guess is the point. But there's enough intrigue in this conversation that after initially being like, "Oh my god, how long is this asshole going to talk?" I started to get, by the end of it, I was quite interested in what little tidbits he was dropping, including he drops the bomb that Silk is a embryo purchased by the previous prolocutor.
Yeah.
And in my first reading, I did not realize how explicitly that was being told to me right here.
Yeah, classic Wolfe.
Yeah, I went completely over my head the first time.
Yeah.
And this time it's like, oh wow, they just say it. They just say it.
Yeah.
It always astonishes me at how well he's able to do that.
Yeah, hide it in plain sight.
Yeah. More like.
Well, it's just like in part of this conversation, I think one thing about Wolfe's writing technique is that he just doesn't put in signposts, right? Like, one thing a lot of writers or storytellers will do in whatever medium is be like, this is an important section, this is an important part of the conversation right now, lean in and pay attention. And Wolfe will just sort of have a conversation, and anything in it could be an important detail, really. There isn't necessarily always these sort of indicators that what you're about to see is something relevant to the plot, the mystery.
Okay, I would say in general that's true, but it's kind of hilarious in this conversation because that you say lean in, because I feel like Remora actually does lean in, and he says, Remora stood beside him, a hand on his shoulder, nearly whispering. This was common knowledge, eh? 15 years ago, the Calde's folly, we called it. Forgotten now, hum? And you're not to speak about it to anyone, Patera. Not to stir it up, hey? So... There is, Remora kind of does say, hey, look, I'm about to tell you something. You can't tell anybody. You can't speak of this. But, like I said, on my first read, it didn't stick with me at all.
I think because when they say stuff like that, when it's like, hey, listen, I'm about to tell you something important, because that phrase itself doesn't necessarily have important information in it, I start to tune out what they're saying, even though I'm reading it and I'm engaged. That's me as a reader. That's my thing. And I don't know if other people do that. But
it also seems very likely that Remora is not ever forthcoming or direct, and so it makes a lot of sense to kind of all of his stuff is kind of bullshit.
A lot of it gets lost in the stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you this time I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, does he when he's talking about something delicate, he does it even more because his
word choices
are so
balanced.
Very political.
Well, he's always looking for the right word. He's always says a word and then is like, and then chooses a different word that's better. He's considered in his word choices.
But it's by taking that time to consider it, it jumbles up his meaning and you don't understand what he's talking about.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting how his attempts to be very precise end up making his whole meaning pretty vague.
Yeah,
Well,
they've done studies in
suspect.
linguistics where they look at complete sentences, and complete sentences are, usually just consist of, the proper components of a sentence, actions and nouns and stuff, and then they're communicate a full thought. But according to studies, the people who are more educated generally
tend to speak less and less in complete sentences and complete thoughts. And the less educated you are, typically speak more complete sentences and more complete thoughts. But the reason is because the gears are turning during the communication.
Mm-hmm. That's part of why I have such trouble spelling.
Because you're thinking about the content and higher level things.
Well, and I'm like, I've already written this word. I want to write a different word now. You know, like I'm done with this one, and I don't care spelled where I've doubled every single letter or something.
You should just get into like stenography.
Well, I've been thinking about speak to text a lot, but that seems to have its own kettle of fish.
Well, I mean, it shows you exactly how many uhs and likes and stuff that you actually say, which I think is terrifying when you see it written out.
It's definitely disappointing when I see it written out.
Editing nodding off is always pretty intense. But that's part of why I haven't been doing it, because it's just like when it's just Connor and me talking, it's like nearly incomprehensible until I edit it down. Because there's just so much like pausing and waiting.
Yeah.
Or just saying a lot.
Well, okay, so while we're in this little page right here, Gulo guesses that Remora means that chenille is the special embryo. And he's right, isn't he? He's right that she is an embryo.
Potentially.
Yeah? Potentially.
I've only heard theory. I don't remember solid proof of that. Was there solid proof that we mentioned that I don't recall?
No.
Proof of what?
That chenille is also like a genetically engineered super being. I just assumed it because, and perhaps this is like a new type of trap for that Wolfe is setting, is that like I realized, he's telling me that Silk is an embryo, and then I look back, I read it again, and I go, is he also telling me chenille is? Because Gulo's kind of doing the thing that Silk does, where he's right but for the wrong reason, or he's like right and doesn't.
Wolf characters do that, where they tell a lie or get something wrong, and they inadvertently that's what's really correct in some way.
Yeah.
Wolf never tells you something that's untrue, even if the character thinks it's untrue.
Yeah. Which I think is like insightful about human beings, that we're right as much, like people are right when they're wrong as much as they're right when they're right.
Right.
I just looked this up because I wanted to see if I was remembering correctly, but at least according to this, chenille is the last Calde's natural daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the way that it's written, natural daughter, leads me to believe that she's...
Yeah.
It's because of not the prophecy, it's because of the Calde's will. Because it says, it names his successor, and he says, this is not my natural child, but it's my successor, or my, son, or something like that. That's what it says. So that's why they're looking for a weird kid.
Right.
Well, doesn't natural child usually mean just born up? It's like bastard child, right? Like
maybe it probably is.
Not a recognized heir, but like I don't know, a love child kind of thing. At least I feel like I've heard it used that way typically.
It would make sense for it to be like a double entendre or like a potential misunderstanding.
Right, like it's like this wasn't supposed to happen, but nature finds a way.
Like in Jurassic Park.
That's right.
Look at these guys. You guys, they just do this all day. They do this for hours, and then they all fall asleep.
Oh, that's so
I
great.
just thought you should know that that's what's happening.
Can I make it big? How do I make it big? Oh, pin. That's how we do
You
it.
gotta feed it. If you feed it, it'll over time.
Is that Tina?
Oh yeah, that was no, that was Shy Boy.
Shy Boy?
Tina's this one.
The calm one.
Tina's sitting down?
Tina's laying down. Tina's been like sleeping the whole time. Everybody else is playing, which is weird.
What?
Are you?
I was gonna keep
Cat
this
Jordan?
one, you guys. I was gonna keep this one, but the tuxedo one told me he has to stay.
He told you that.
He told this one. He told me,
Oh.
and then I'm also keeping that one.
Is that one like kind of gray, like Quimby-ish?
All gray,
It
all
looks
gray,
pretty.
like Quimby.
Does look like
It does
Quimby.
look like Quimby.
Oh my god, I just could watch them forever.
Well, you guys can come over and see them if you want to. Jordan came over when they were smaller.
They barely even knew they were cats. It was so.
Yeah, they're much more cats now than they were when we were here.
Are you sticking
Anyway.
around your house all day today, Jen? Do you have plans to ever?
What?
Nothing. I'm making a joke to myself. I think.
I might be. There's most of the day probably, but I might not. I don't know. It depends.
I want commitment.
Sorry.
Okay.
Well, you want to come over?
I mean, I was thinking about it, but whatever.
Oh, two of them just stared at each other and now they're both poofed up. Poof tail. Anyway, sorry. Back to the books.
Incus is real
That
funny.
Yeah.
He's like Renfield, huh?
Okay. Okay.
I got a Renfield vibe from him. Why does he think Gulo forged that letter?
Because he would.
I think that's the implication.
Yeah.
Right? Incus, in this introduction, is the whole point of Incus, I think, is like, I'm savvy. I know what's going on. I know the real score here. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, even that he's like listening to Gulo talk about Silk, and he's like, you got the hots for him.
He does know the score there, though, doesn't he?
Sure, but I imagine that he doesn't know the score in the way that he thinks he does.
Right.
I got you. I can see that because Gulo is like impressed by Silk,
Right.
but Incus could never understand that. He thinks they want to bang. Like he thinks he wants to bang Silk
Right.
because that's the only thing he can conceive of. Like, right? Is that what you're saying?
I wasn't saying that, but I agree with what you're saying.
Or what were you saying?
I'm just saying that Incus is always trying to figure out what the secret is here, even if there's no secret. He's figuring out what the secret is.
Maybe saying it like that was just to see the reaction.
Maybe.
Mhm. It's funny that like
Certainly, people use it to as an argument that Incus is gay.
I don't really see why it matters. He doesn't fuck anyone in the book, so whatever.
That's
I mean,
true.
it kind of only matters in that, like, Gene Wolfe doesn't seem to talk about homosexuality.
True. But that might be a good thing. We never
It
know.
might be.
We don't know. And that's good. I would rather not know.
I have a unfounded theory that there's some stuff happened in the army that he never knew how to process.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
Yeah,
pulling
that's
that.
definitely true.
I mean,
that's
that's true for most people in the army, I think.
I just read a story in this big discussion of racism at all, and there's a big question as to whether or not Gene Wolfe is a good person. People keep going on the Facebook group and posting Gene Wolfe is a bad person because of how he treats women, and apparently he signed a petition one time uh,
Oh yeah.
saying that he didn't want to have affirmative action in the sci-fi short story publishing world or something like that. That like, if you write a good story, it's a good story, and it shouldn't matter if you're a man or a woman or something. Um, but from that, somebody revealed an anecdote that Gene Wolfe, when he was in the army, was stationed near a whorehouse full of black prostitutes, and he looked down on them. And then later in life, in a letter, he told someone about that. And he was like, "I was really wrong, and that's a sin that I'm always atoning for."
Huh.
Wrong in looking down on them.
Right. That like, it's nothing for him to judge.
Is the implication that he would have gone if they were white prostitutes? Or
I don't think. No, I think I think
it was that's just that they're
like,
prostitutes.
I thought that these people were bad, and I would never think of them outside of like bad. Now I realize that they were.
He just didn't like that he was judgmental at all because he had taken in the teachings of Jesus Christ,
or even just normal America in the 1950s. At that point,
no, I mean like he had like absorbed the teachings of Jesus, and he was like, you know what, I was being a dick.
Oh yeah, I mean, I hope that would be great.
That would be great.
I feel like there's a line that runs.
The Jesus moment was actually him coming to Jesus.
I feel like there's a direct line that runs through Incus trying to figure out the secret intrigue that's going on, and then the like contemporary reader who's trying to figure out the sin of the author that allows them to sort of dispose of that author entirely.
Uh-huh.
And in a way, I guess in the middle there, you have the Wolfe reader who wants to know the answer to everything and thinks that, you know, it's something that you can like eventually decode definitively.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like that, you know, these things are all on a spectrum.
Sure.
The like, this author is a bad person thing is really interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
Because it seems like it has mostly to do with the amount of information we have, and not with like an enlightened or heightened sense of morality among our people.
Well, it's a game, right? You're trying to beat him.
Well, what are you saying, Ryan? That like these days we have more information about individuals, therefore we're sort of assessing people more intensely versus in the past.
It makes me think of like J.K. Rowling, where like because she's constantly posting online about like stuff that sucks, we know that she thinks things that suck.
But like, if there was a Twitter in like the 1800s and Mary Shelley had a Twitter, we'd probably be like, "Fuck, cancel Mary Shelley."
Yeah, exactly.
I think that the people of the 1700s did say "fuck, cancel Mary Shelley," right?
They probably did. Yeah. Like people are more likely to like tell you how shitty they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Before there wasn't really, you know, maybe like interviews or panels or something, or like, you know, how often would you get 24/7 access to somebody's transphobia before now? Unless it's like, you know, in a stand-up routine or something, you know what I mean?
Well, it's also that everyone thinks that they have like a totally valid opinion on every topic.
And everybody,
which I don't think was a thing before either. I think more often people would just be like, I don't know, that's not my thing. But now it's like everyone has an opinion about everything, and everyone's just wrong all the time.
And they think that they have a right to whatever information about your life allows them to make that judgment. You know, it's not like there's too much that's like, well, that's just your problem, and if you want to feel that privately in your heart, and I don't have to deal with it, then I'll never have to deal with it. Now we're like, no, you have to tell me what you think about this. You have to tell me what you did. Because I need to judge you. I need to make this judgment of you.
Because that is included in the, like, you have to have an opinion about everything that's going on, and you also have to have an opinion about every person.
Right. Well,
like it's just all you just have to. It's like everything is being like sifted.
If it's not letting people judge you, not giving the people the information to judge you, is a thing that you would be judged for.
Mm-hmm. You must be hiding something.
Right. Or just why you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I was just going to say that in different words.
Yeah, criminals don't have, I mean, people who aren't criminals don't have to be worried about what's illegal, that kind of thing. I also think that the flip side, too, of it is that because there's so much information and there's so many possible things to have an opinion on, that it's really important to find ways to just like wholesale cross off a lot of stuff so that you're not overwhelmed. And this like way of determining if someone has sinned once or contains like a contrary opinion within them is the fastest way, and it can't be argued with.
I find this I run into this a lot during conversations about abortion, because my stance on abortion is like, I don't think it's murder because babies don't have souls until they're born, but at the end of the day, who cares about my opinion on this? I can't get abortion. And like the idea that like I don't think that my opinion matters is really hard to swallow for a lot of people. And that
because it means
whatever you think, I'm wrong because I don't think that what I think matters.
But the reason that bothers people is because the people who it bothers, the people who that idea bothers, are the people whose opinions also don't matter.
Yeah.
Largely.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, because when you're saying that, you're not just saying my opinion doesn't matter. You're also saying like, unless you could get an abortion, your opinion doesn't. Your opinion also, like, it's not just about you. It's about anyone that applies to.
Yeah, I had a good version of this
me.
conversation with Steve Stromeyer one time, where he was assuming that I was going to agree that it's sad when babies die. But I was in such a mood that I actually had argued myself to the point where I didn't think that souls. I don't think that I had argued myself into thinking that you didn't get a soul until you were 3, so it was probably okay to kill someone up until they were 3 years old. I have a
friend who I probably won't name on the internet because it's just probably not the right thing. But I have a friend who always jokingly argues that you should be able to get an abortion until the age of 2.
I mean, if you're gonna be shit, then it's maybe better for him. As a parent, if the parent's gonna be
we
shit.
Probably shouldn't go down this hole any further.
No, you're correct. You're right. We shouldn't talk about it.
I think the amount of people who take up that offer might be disturbing.
Yeah.
And
definitely, that's why they're taking up the offer.
I also think
this is not my stance.
I also think they all would regret it instantly. The very second it happened, they would immediately regret it. Is what I think. That's my take on that.
I mean, if you wanted to, you could, create a service that would minimize the possibility of regret and probably turn a tidy profit. Be like, we promise you won't even ever think about it after we take care of that 2-year-old. I mean, the market would step in, I feel like, the market would address that regret very effectively.
There'd be something.
Well, you know who didn't get aborted? Us.
I mean, everyone didn't.
Correct.
I think you can say that everyone
I was
didn't.
just trying to...
And there's probably a cool, like, sophistry there where you could say, well, okay, obviously it's a truism that everyone didn't get aborted, which kind of also means no one did, so what are we arguing about?
That's the best abortion argument.
That's good.
I'm definitely going to use that if anyone.
It just didn't happen.
Just be like, this whole thing is nonsensical.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's ever been aborted, so don't worry about it.
Death
Yeah.
of abortion.
You're just
And
saying
also,
words.
Also, everyone is alive, so no one's dead.
That's right.
I mean, I think
mean,
I might believe that.
Dangerously close to actually thinking that.
Me too. I actually think that might be true too. I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility that people who died are just plugged right back in.
I mean, they certainly don't exist, and that's what we say about things that aren't true or real.
Yeah, we don't have
You guys, I love Orib so much.
Yeah, me too. He's my favorite character.
I love
in
him.
these last two books.
Now, Orib escapes from Silk into this chapter.
Well,
Orib flies so I feel like when I look back on everything, Orib flies solo so much more than I thought.
I love the parts where I love the parts that are from Orib's perspective the most. I think of like all the parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like when he's down in the tunnel and he's just like munching on the corpse and like thinking to himself and then like munching on the corpse and then like thinking to himself. It's so good.
I feel like there's so many.
Are really smart.
There's so many possibilities with Orib. Like, he might be the outsider. He also might just be a regular animal, and this is how all animals are. And I've been thinking a lot about that with the cats and how, you know, they see things that aren't there or to us. And a thing that has been happening at my house lately is we've been checking out, like, my cat Josie will, when I leave, especially because with the plague and stuff, there's like a long period of time where I didn't leave at all. And then since I've been leaving a lot more in the last couple of months this year, like, she'll sometimes just stay at the door when I'm gone for a while. And then since Jesse hasn't gone back to work yet, but I have, we've been testing out this thing where Josie knows when I'm coming home before it's in any way obvious to a human. Like, it's like you can hear my keys jingle, you know, when I open the door, but Josie will leave the other room before or like Josie will like get off the couch and go to the door before Jesse can hear any sign of me. And like we've started actively tracking it, and like Josie knows when I'm not just when I'm coming, but also sometimes when deliveries are coming before there's any audible clue to a human. Like
you're not the first person to experience that phenomenon, Ryan. That's pretty common, especially with dogs too. Dogs are like notably very in tune.
I find that Anne's bird knows when people are coming home or are leaving. He'll get upset if one of us decides to leave.
My dog knows when I'm about to wake up and haven't moved yet.
It's so fascinating because I feel like a lot of people's instinct is to say, well, they got really good sense of hearing and smell, you know, but I don't know that I don't know that there's any reason to think that it's linked to senses that, you know, that we can relate to.
We literally don't know exactly what the animal experience of consciousness is like, you know, like we don't know. We've never been able to communicate with an animal quite on that level, you know. Maybe we got a little bit
for Coco.
I mean, like
Coco is amazing.
And Nim
a little bit.
God, people in the future
knew that Nim Chimpsky was pissed off in a very human way.
Did you say Nim Chimpsky?
Yeah. You not know about Nim Chimpsky?
No.
Well, there's a movie.
It's a good movie. Nim Chimpsky is this experiment where this family were going to, from birth, raise a chimp like a human and see how human it got.
Yeah.
And the answer is not human enough. I think that the chimp ended up viciously. I think that he might have been the one who ripped a woman's face off.
There's a bunch. There's one.
Yeah, the one that ripped a woman's face off was on antidepressants, I remember.
The chimp was?
Yeah, the one that ripped the woman's face off. I remember there was like a weird like thing in the middle of that, which was that the chimp took mood meds.
Man, if you have to put a chimp on antidepressants, let that fucker go. What the fuck?
Well,
I mean,
Nick
People
Jimmy,
are
the
so
whole
dumb.
time, he
People
was
are
like,
so dumb.
I hate this, let me go. Like, he hadn't even ever been free, and he was just like so fucking angry that he had to deal with these hairless things.
that was like me in high school, though.
Yes, nobody likes it. No one likes it. But
I
some
had
people.
a good time in high school.
No, I'm not talking about high school. I'm talking about human things. And when you're
Oh, yeah,
younger, it's more something that's placed upon you, and you're more like you're still being indoctrinated.
Mhm.
And like some people take to it quicker. Some people take to it quick as hell, and some people never do.
Yeah.
Wasn't Coco a big Robin Williams fan?
Hmm.
That part was so
Yeah.
interesting. Like, had a specific video, could pick out Robin Williams from pictures and get excited, and then met Robin Williams at one time and was really excited, like exceptionally excited.
Seeing that.
Coco would break shit and then blame it on her cat. Which I think.
Oh yeah, didn't she like rip a sink off the wall and say that her cat did it?
Yeah.
I think that it's like, I don't know how far in the future it is, but at some point in the recognizable future, people are going to go, why did they hate animals back then? Like, why did they detest animals?
Totally.
And not even just, from eating them, but
We hate everything.
Yeah, which humans do we like a lot?
yeah.
We hate literally everything. We destroy everything.
Yeah.
It's just a hateful species.
It's really astonishing. when you
A
think
thing
about
that I've been struck with lately is how often someone will hear about something good happening to their friend, and their response will be, "Why didn't that happen to me?"
it. Dude, it's so weird.
And it's like, why do you have friends if you're not going to be happy when good things you want shit things to happen to everybody else and you feel you're
it's
great? What the
truly
fuck?
weird.
Can you give an example without saying names? Like of a situation in which, like, a specific thing that happened and a person was
Sure.
like,
I was in a situation where I was in a group of people who were getting on a plane and had bought tickets months and months ahead of time when there was one carry-on policy, which had since changed so that you had to pay for you were only allowed one free bag, where before it was 2 free bags. And one person went up to the desk, and the front desk person was like, "Oh, well, you bought these tickets before this policy, so I'm going to do this under that policy because there's no official thing that we're supposed to do here." And that person went back to meet up with the rest of their party, and another person was like, "Well, they didn't do that for me," so they went and complained, and then nobody got this.
that's justice.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a whiner.
Yeah, and I just found that so aberrant. That what the hell are you doing?
I feel like this is probably going to sound horrible, but that it's a very common trope in rap careers.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, it's like an evergreen occurrence in rap for people to be like, just very nakedly, like, that happened to you? Fuck that. That should have happened to me.
I do think that sometimes rapists are playing that up.
Oh, yeah.
I think sometimes they're fronting.
Well, there's a big social element to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there
that
was...
genre, to that field. It's like
Yeah.
a very... Unlike other fields.
I just think about the plot to 8 Mile, where a rapist is trying to build himself as a not well-off person, and then it's revealed in a rap that guy lives in a fancy part of town, and so he loses the entire movie.
I feel
I
like,
should watch 8 Mile. 8 Mile rules.
I've actually never seen it.
neither
It's
have
really
I.
good. I like it a lot.
Never seen it.
I've heard that it's like Purple Rain in theme, but also in quality.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's what I hear. People are like, no, it's really good. That's what they always say.
I
They
love
say no,
Prince.
no.
I love Prince so much, and I hope you all understand that about me. But I'm not a fan of. I don't like Purple Rain the movie.
Yeah, great album.
Mm-hmm.
Weird movie. I mean, weird vibes.
It's a fun movie.
I mean,
It's fun. It's okay.
It's a kind of movie, you know. Like Help is not usually like if fucking Martin Scorsese had come out with Help, you'd be like, what the fuck happened to Martin Scorsese? You know, like the fucking
It's not like
Elvis
it's not high art. It's not high art.
never going to get an Oscar. Like this is.
I mean,
just
Connor, you know what kind of movies I like. You know what kind of movies I like.
I do know what kind of movies you like.
So you know that I understand this.
Yeah, totally.
It's funny. I feel like the inverse thing happened to the Monkees, where they made Head, and people were like, "This is like a movie Martin Scorsese would make. What are you guys doing? This is horrible."
Right. Well, because the Monkees were never thought to be legitimate artists. You know, they were hired by a corporation, and then when they got the opportunity to make a movie, they were like, "No, we actually want to do something. Like we have an idea, and now we don't have to be beholden to fucking ABC or it."
That movie's great, by the way. Anyone who hasn't seen it, it'll make you love the Monkees.
I have not seen it.
It is good. They're right. I did like the Monkees in high school for like a couple months because of that movie.
It's the kind of thing where, like, every couple of years I remember it, and I'm like, wow, we haven't had another one of those. It's, like, troubling. No, we haven't had another Head. We haven't had another, like, really well-done artistic revolt by, a popular artist.
Have you seen Southland Tales? I would say that's
Connor,
exactly what that is.
I want you to know, Connor, that probably since the last time I saw you guys, we finished Deep Space Nine, which means we can watch movies again.
Oh boy!
And I told Kenny this morning that we should watch that movie because you talk about it all the time.
I'm real interested to see what you think of it.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
File of it that I'm trying to watch at some point, but I showed Madison the trailer and she said, absolutely not.
Actually, I think
in light of that, I'm not going to watch the trailer. I'm just going to do it.
I've never seen the trailer.
I mean, it looks insane. Like, you have no idea what it's just like a bunch of stuff. So
how could you pass on a movie that's crazy and has The Rock in it? I feel like that's like a solid yes.
Maybe wear it down at some point.
But it's a cast with 2,000 people in it, and every single person, you're so happy that they're there. You know, like it's got The Rock, but it's got Sean William Scott and the Highlander and the woman from Exorcist and Mandy Moore and fucking Justin Timberlake. And Justin Timberlake can't sing. You know, he's only allowed to lip sync in this movie, even though he sings a full song. It's just every single point about that movie is amazing, including how people don't like it. It's so wonderful.
All right, let me revise what I was saying. A film revolt by a film person, I feel like, is a different category than what the Monkees did.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm not to criticize Southland Tales or anything. I guess when I do my little one Indian tier for there not being another Head, it's like I'm thinking specifically of bands.
Do bands make like movies anymore? Maybe this occurs in like K-pop territory, or will.
It would be fertile ground, I would think.
Yeah.
I would consider the Backstreet Boys video for Everybody, to be a film. Michael Jackson videos are...
Michael Jackson videos they approach it for sure. Especially the one where he is like the white man and who's scaring the kids. Oh man, that thing is incredible.
Oh yeah, that fucking one.
Is that the one you're talking about?
No, it's much later. It's one of the last ones. I don't remember which song it's for, but it's really long. He has prosthetics. He does basically a Tyler Perry thing as a fat white guy, which is he's unrecognizable, and it's incredible. And it's also like why, like the whole thing is like, why did he do any of this? It's not
Yeah,
so
I
much a
guess-
revolt as like a capitalizing on his like ability to do anything, but I mean it's a revolt from society, and that almost everything Michael did after he was a
Yeah.
teenager was a revolt.
Yeah, I kind of briefly thought of Trapped in the Closet just now too, but that's not the same thing as Head. But it's because Trapped in the Closet is more of like a weird artifact instead of like an artistic statement.
It is very artistic.
It's interesting.
Man, I, in a total, to get even further away from Wolf, I lately have been watching The Masked Singer, that's going on now. You guys, you're familiar with the show? And
Only for you. But yeah.
oh man, it is something. It's not crucial, but it's like rewarding. And I've been, every time I watch it, I feel like I come upon a new person where it's like, oh God, they need, like, somebody needs to, I might just have to start photoshopping all the real good ones that have to happen. And R. Kelly is my most recent, like, they've got to have R. Kelly's got to be the one when they take the mask off.
That would be a showstopper.
The show keeps pushing the envelope like really consciously all the time, and I feel like at some point they're not going to have anywhere else to go but OJ, R. Kelly, like
OJ for sure.
They're going to have to at some point in order to top themselves, and it's going to be glorious, and they're going to get away with it because this people that produce that show are skilled.
Yeah, they're
like toddlers in tiaras level. I feel like subversion, like mania. It's a show like worth peeking in on. You usually got to watch a couple episodes though, so you get a sense of the like how insane it is, and also like it might take 3 episodes for you to get a really good reveal. But like I would say 1 out of 3 are like you're like, oh snap, Tony Hawk. Like
I'm watching the first reality show I've ever really sat down and watched, and I gotta say, reality television feels weird as shit.
Yeah, it's the least real thing that I think humans have ever created.
Well, it's also like nobody's like it feels like the worst kind of UPN 90s crapped out show.
Which one are you watching?
The Circle, but I don't think that like Survivor has any better quality in what they do.
Oh, I love The Circle.
I love The Circle. I'm not saying that I don't love The Circle. I'm just saying that in terms of like production value and like this seems that this seems like something that somebody had a certain amount of money and they solved all their problems by just having that amount of money. And sometimes it wasn't enough money. I mean, I guess part of the problem here is that like I'm used to watching things where like all the words were crafted and the people who were delivering them cared about every nuance of how they were doing it, and now I'm watching people who are just normal idiots.
I think reality shows might be a little bit cheaper to produce.
Oh hell yes!
Need those actors and writers, and
hell
so
yes.
But what you lose in actors, writers, and craftspeople, you have to make up in like really serious editors and producers because the editing is
the best part of
so
this show
solid in those shows.
It's the editing is what's fun.
Yeah, reality shows are made and broken by the editor.
Yeah, because you have no idea what the reality of those situations really is. You know, you're seeing a very
It happens it's in documentaries too. I mean, documentaries, like I feel like we might have touched on this before, but the 12 O'Clock Boys documentary, I knew some people that were involved. Actually, I think Nat Fowler from the Oxes was one of the early editors on it, and it got passed. They had to bring in multiple editors because there was like not really a story, and eventually they brought in the final editor was able to create a whole narrative that had never existed, and it became a hit movie. But like
that's exactly what an editor for a reality show has to do.
Yeah, like it was cool to kind of hear the details at the time that it was going on, because there were certain people who had like been involved in the music and the production side that were like really angry about how the whole movie had gone down, and were like really willing to spill the beans on how artificial like the end result was. And I had no idea that documentaries worked like that.
It's not just the editor too, because in reality shows you have a producer as well, and so the people filming it will be like, oh, here's a point where so and so had like a little interaction, and so they have to be like, oh, there's a moment where someone said a sentence about this person, ask them about it. And then like when they like do a cutaway and the person's talking, it'll be like, so and so said this, when that really made me feel like this. But in reality, you wouldn't have fixated on that moment. But the producers working with the people shooting it and the editors are like, oh, we have to like latch onto this moment and create a narrative of tension between these people moving forward. If you all follow kind of what I mean, I know it's a little abstract, but
no, that's like
it's constructed on the fly.
I've also been watching Married at First Sight, and there's a couple in that where like after the wedding ceremony, you can tell this is an incredibly abusive man, where he says to his wife, just to let you know, I just broke up an engagement 8 months ago, and I found out that person's pregnant right now. And then the show keeps on going. This woman has to deal with this man for another 8 weeks. He brings the baby mama to visit her. They're clearly not staying together, but they keep having to have these weird meetups and stuff. And it's torture for this poor woman. I feel like she should sue the company that made this show. There's no way that she's not permanently damaged from this weird thing that this man did.
More than one contestant on Gordon Ramsay's show has killed themselves. And it's really? Like, you can't like definitively say it was, in all cases, I feel like time had passed since they had been on the show, but it's been more than one former master. I think it's mostly Hell's Kitchen people. At least two. I want to say three, but definitely two or more. I'll need to look it up, but he's such a juggernaut. He keeps going. And it's like, I'm not saying they killed themselves because of his shows, but it is kind of they shut down luck because of the dead horses.
Yeah.
But it boggles my mind that there hasn't been a fictional show about a reality show in which you see the side of the people on the other side of the camera, no one has thought to film a scene in which you see like on one part of your screen, like in one corner, what shows up on Jersey Shore, and on the other part what a person in real life would see had they been in that room. I can't believe no one's like made a scripted show about that.
That's a great idea. Someone's going to at some point.
It's going to be
immediately afterwards. There will be a reality show about making a reality show.
It could be. There's been fake reality shows. There was
all sitcoms are fake reality shows.
No. There was like a show that presented as reality but was actually scripted comedy. Ken Marino and his wife made one that was really good. It's called I forget what it's called, Too Hot for Love or something. It was really good. It was really funny, but it was like a pretend reality show and not a dark peek behind the curtain of a reality show.
Right.
Etc. Anyway, Jen, we're losing you.
I just don't care about TV that much. I let you guys do the thing. I'm gonna let check it out.
And that's a beautiful thing, Jen. I love that, and I hate inside when we start talking about reality TV, because I'm like, I know Jen has successfully cut this toxic element of society out of her consciousness, and I appreciate that about you. But I also feel like internalized, like, oh no, this is a non-Jen topic. It's impure.
No.
I can't look away. I love it. I love it for the same reason I buy like Raytheon memorabilia and apparel.
Oh man, my friend Drew has a hoodie that in like baseball team font says Monsanto on it.
That's dope.
It's like official Monsanto merch, but he was like, have to.
Yeah. That's another thing I'm surprised isn't like a cultural phenomenon. Usually I have something within arm's reach, but all of those items are out of arm's reach right now.
You're like, don't mess with Halliburton shirt.
That's one of my favorite accomplishments of my whole life, is that don't underestimate the power of Halliburton shirt.
Is that a real thing? That's a real thing.
Well, I got it because there's like online there's these like pre-made shirt templates where you can stick your last name in, and it's just like a cascade of like positive adjectives, and it's like supposed to rep your family. And so I got one of those that had like a big American flag, and it says, and the last name I got was Halliburton, and I can go get it right now if you want to see it. Next time something happens, I'll go get it.
I think you wore it to one of our early Wolfpack meetings.
Yeah, this whatever this is, these YouTube videos are like my one hope of documenting my awesome true life horror fashion.
Well,
Yeah.
you want to talk about this book?
The gods don't have laws, only preferences.
So okay,
We're still on
so
7.
Yeah, that's good.
So Remora drops a little bit of knowledge that we covered with the Patera embryo. Like, what else do we get in this halting conversation between these two douchebags? Like, what else do we get an insight into?
Honestly,
Sheil.
I feel like I'm kind of shocked he pulled the trigger on the "you're in love with Patera" Silk thing after one interaction between Silk and Gulo. Like, I like it makes sense and it's necessary for the story, but I feel like he should have had them talk one more time before having Gulo fall in love with him. And
Gulo's not in love with him.
He's on his way.
No, he admires. Gulo never gets a crush on Patera.
Well, why does he admire him so much?
He's a young man that admires a genetically enhanced for charisma guy.
But okay, so after one interaction, he's not trying to talk himself into not liking the guy he has to spy on. It seems weird to me.
Well, maybe we're just having a semantic problem of the difference between like and love. He likes Silk. He thinks that Silk's an amazing man. He doesn't have amorous feelings for Silk.
Why does he think Silk's amazing man now?
Well, because one, Silk is genetically engineered to make you feel happy. And two, people all day have been just coming and bringing him money for no reason.
Yeah.
If you show up at your house sitting job and you don't know who this house sitter is, but when they're leaving, they give you 2 fantastic pieces of jewelry, and they're like, "Will you go put this in my safe, please?" And then while they're gone, people just keep showing up and being like, "I brought this jewelry for that guy, but I don't trust you. I'm not giving it to you," all day long. You'd be like, something amazing is happening with this person.
Okay, so that's happened. He's had one conversation with the dude. Then he goes to his boss, Remora, and like, it seems shocking to me that he would chastise his boss's toady, like, immediately.
I think that shows the supernatural or super scientific element of Silk's likability. People are not liking Silk based on, I believe, that people are not liking Silk based on just who Silk is and what he does. They also like him because of pheromones or something. He's designed to be liked.
Pheromones.
I mean, yeah, there's a huge debate as to whether or not humans can be susceptible to pheromones, but I think that sci-fi, we can just allow that to be a thing.
He definitely has it factor.
Also, they mentioned that Silk is like 2 years ahead of him in school, and he remembers that.
Yeah.
You know, like there's kind of.
Okay, so he's bringing a little of that.
Maybe.
I don't know. Nah.
I also, in these couple of chapters, like it never occurred to me, oh yeah, Silk is just preternaturally good at fighting. But we've had a couple examples of Silk just not even thinking about it and kicking someone's ass. Like when he just cleaned Musk's spot and stuff.
See, I'm more inclined to like, and I guess this is, I don't know why, maybe this is stupid of me. I'm more inclined to like, to lean into the genetic engineering on the physical and the fighting. But part of me feels like Silk never like, I mean, like, his actions constantly justify people's admiration for him. Like, he never acts in a way that's not conducive to people like feeling like, oh my god, this sweet little weirdo is really something.
Here's another thing. Gulo also mentions when he remembers Silk from school that he's like, oh yeah, he was like, what does he say? That he was like attractive young man, or something like that, but like seemed dull, seemed like kind of slow. I think he says.
Yeah, he says slow.
Yeah, so Silk may be charmed or something, like because of his experience from the outsider, with some like a change has been made in Silk.
I feel like it's a change in his context, like that in school when you're like kind of all definitely peers and all sort of, you know, like it doing the same things, going the same goal, you overlook someone that's kind of slow. But then when that person is out in the world and like commanding respect from other people and like maybe saw a theophany, suddenly you're like, there's something to this guy. The slowness.
You know who you're describing?
And
Ed Schrader.
And I would add, you know, we're already at that point where people are writing Silk for Call Day. So there's like a
people who are writing
social aspect to it too. What?
The people who are writing Silk for Call Day.
No, I know, but the fact that it's written around changes the way people perceive.
I saw it on the way over like a dozen times.
Yeah.
Maybe not a dozen.
If you see that around, it's going to change your perception of him.
Also, he's sent there to spy, so that automatically marks him as an important person.
There's a part in Short Sun where you get to see a deleted scene from Long Sun of Chenille actually drawing the chalk picture of Silk that they see on the way to Renton.
I think also we're probably, at this point, I think we're maybe meant to assume that the first couple writings of Silk for Calday were intentional, like, you know, first level, like done with an agenda, but that's maybe by this time filtered down to like perfectly genuine people, little kids and whatnot, being like, yeah, I'm, you know, the people who the propaganda of Crane has worked on.
It's like the Koch brothers or whatever.
Yeah, astroturfing.
Like it's created by industry people, but then it's like the language, you know, the way it's like marketed to the common people.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like at this point in the story,
they're serving the Lord they don't know they serve.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I have this sense that we've like crossed that line now, where there are people that have like bought into the story and are doing it because they believe, you know, they're going door to door for AOC's election or whatever.
I mean, certainly people are recognized. You know, people on the bus.
What?
People are recognizing him. He gets recognized on the bus and in the restaurant.
Oh, Silk, yeah.
Yeah.
There's Buzz.
Yeah, there is Buzz. He's Buzz with it. Oscar Buzz. Oh man, the other thing that I keep watching is Billy on the Street, and even if you hate television, I recommend Billy on the Street.
But you might not understand everything that he mentions if you don't like television.
I don't understand everything.
Oh yeah, I don't either, and I still like it. You're right.
Yeah.
I also would add that it's not that I don't like television. I just don't watch it. I mean, I just don't have enough time in my life to watch it.
Well, make time for Billy on the Street.
Star Trek.
I don't think I probably will, but it's possible.
It's better than Star Trek.
Better than Star Trek.
Yeah. He's cute.
It's bold.
Star Trek's bold. Lee, going. We're no more.
I started watching some Voyager. Tempted.
I love it. I love Voyager.
Fun. Everybody's fun.
I have no other things noted for chapter 7.
Oh, do you know what I have?
I'm at a
noted
point
that-
in my reading where I don't remember what happens in what chapter, and I've definitely read a couple chapters of that.
I mean, there's a whole other section of this though where Silk goes down into the Scylla hole.
That's true.
Oh.
We didn't talk about that.
Okay, that's one
Wait.
thing I realized. Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
Can I just talk about one thing, one-off silly thing from my first reading
Billy.
that I saw when I did my second reading just now? Is when they describe the flag, the green flag with Scylla on it. I wrote Starbucks logo.
That's very much correct. The woman that is depicted on the Starbucks logo is extremely similar to Scylla.
It looks like it. He's describing the Starbucks logo. I don't even know if Starbucks existed at that point. In the way that
that is so funny.
I think where did Gene live? What part of the country did he live in?
Texas.
Texas.
not really Starbucks country
Yeah,
in the early '90s at least.
I feel like early '90s Starbucks was around.
It was, yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was, but it wasn't. It wasn't like it.
Just
it
in
wasn't
Seattle.
remotely like it is now.
Yeah. It might have been.
Especially somewhere like Texas, I would think.
Yeah, it was
feel
like the
it was
Pacific
more
Northwest.
Like, yeah, PNW. I don't think it was. I don't remember seeing Starbucks around the South really until I don't even know. I was like,
Yeah.
You consider Texas the South?
well, but I'm saying like culturally speaking, like something's gonna show up in Atlanta before it shows up in like Texas. I don't think he was living in like Houston. I'm just saying.
I wasn't arguing. That was a thing.
I mean, it's the Southwest, I guess. It's not the same. No, I don't think
It's not
at
the
all.
same.
No.
As a New Yorker, I would constantly think of Texas as from the South. And my father would be like, it's not in the South, it's the fucking West, and we're our own thing.
It's adjacent. It's southern adjacent, but it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, and it's but I think like the way like coastal culture filters, it kind of goes like from the outside in, and Texas is like really in the middle, so it's like takes the longest to get to Texas. You know, like it's gonna get to Atlanta first before it gets to
Yeah.
That's just about how I think it goes.
Right, that makes sense to me. Like, I feel like Texas, from, very, very limited experience, I was there once. I thought it was cool. But I just get the sense that it would be more resistant to that kind of change, especially, like, 20, 30 years ago.
I will also say, though, that my aunt and her daughter, my cousin, who's, like, maybe approaching 50 at this point, the two of them who both live in Houston are the biggest Starbucks people in my family.
Well, like, people are rich there, right? Like, that kind of, like,
Texas
There's a lot of oil money.
like big car,
That part of my
carrying your
family.
phone and
That
your
part of my
keys
family
and
is
wallet in
not.
the same hand from the car to Starbucks kind of people.
I mean, there's a lot of computer development there. Silicon Prairie, was a thing before Silicon Valley, and there's a lot of biomedical.
It's a lot
research
of
in
oil,
Montana.
though.
Yeah, there is.
Or like the richest people in my family are in Houston. It's not those same people, but it's like the dude owns like a steel company. Like they're really fucking rich.
Yeah.
It's also where the Rothko Chapel is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wait,
Houston, yeah.
isn't Judd, the guy that makes the boxes, the guy who likes.
That's Marfa.
Yeah.
I really liked that as a comment.
Thank you.
So this is
What I
the
feel about it.
this is the Talus chapter too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, where he finds the Callus that he got fired.
The Talus is
that's
so
a really
awesome.
funny scene. That's a really funny scene.
Talos is angry.
He's like, "Must hurt me."
He really successfully makes you, I feel like, sad for the death of the Talus.
Yeah.
Just by making
feel like-
it so sad and funny.
I feel like Gene Wolfe was watching Doctor Who and felt bad for the Daleks.
Yes.
The Talos seems bad at his job. Like, he's so emotional and irrational and, like, unobservant, you know? Like, the Talos sucks at this. He's just, like, always, like, so angry and to the point where he doesn't even notice details. Like, Silk sneaking around or Silk with an Azoth.
He's definitely not paying attention. We can say he's definitely not paying attention to the entrance of the shrine now that he's, like, mad at Silk.
So can we rewind a little bit and like just focus on the moment when Silk gets pulled into the shrine? Because that visualization for me, like, what is this scene exactly? Like, what is going on? So he's inside of the shrine, which is what? An entrance into the tunnels, and it's kind of like an official entrance, right? Like, it has a gate, it has a guard. There's descriptions of like furniture or something down in this like little reception room or something. But when Silk is there, the floor opens up, a tentacle reaches out, grabs him, and kind of throws him down.
I don't think there's furniture in the shrine.
There's nothing in the
There's
shrine.
benches. I think it's like a park pavilion.
You're switching up the timing. It's like he's in the shrine, which I think of, and maybe you guys can correct me too, but I think of the shrine as like kind of like almost like a stone, like gazebo kind
Yeah,
of.
exactly.
That's the shrine.
Like an open
Like the
thing.
pagoda in Patterson Park.
Yeah, a pagoda, yeah.
But what I'm saying is,
And then
when
once
he goes down in,
tumbled and down in,
yeah,
then it's like
it seems like there's a
carpeted.
little room down there, like a little reception
Yeah,
room.
like a conference room almost or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
The
about.
Illuminati waiting room.
But that's the floor falling out from below him is what makes him land into that room.
Well, in the tentacle,
There are tentacles.
which is the
Yeah.
Talus. The Talus does all
Yeah,
that.
but I'm saying like I
Oh, the
thought Tim
Talus
was
did
saying
that.
that the floor of that room falls out.
No. The floor of the shrine is what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But-
I believe that the Talus sees him on monitors and is like, "That's the fucker that made Must hurt me." So like,
Oh,
that's the only reason Silk finds the secret room.
so it opens
Right,
up
that's
the
what I mean,
floor
I
and
just
reaches. I thought it was like a function of the shrine.
It is. He's able to
Letting him
interface
in.
with the shrine.
I just read that whole section while you guys were talking about TV, and that the Talus like says that the Talus says that.
Yeah, he
He does.
interfaces with the shrine to move the tentacle. It's one of
Okay.
those things that's stated directly, but there's so much happening in Gene's prose.
Wait, Jen, can you take us there real quick?
Basically, it's like, it starts on 4:15,
Yeah.
and basically the Talus is saying like, "Oh, I knew it was you," and that's why he grabbed him down into there. But
No,
he
no,
wasn't
wait.
Uses
sure-
the word
Wait. Look at the top of 415 though, everyone. Like, okay, so there's the scanning the rocks for aura chapter.
So it says, scanning the rocks for orb, he saw from the corner of one eye the delicately curved pillars nearest the entrance drop from the dome. One barred the entrance with a double S. The other reached for him, its sinuous motion seemingly casual and almost careless. He dodged and struck at it. Okay. And then it loops about his waist, a noose of stone. Then the floor opens, and then he's carried down, or dropped down, not carried.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's not the Talus.
Yes, it is.
The Talus is controlling the shrine.
Oh,
The Talus
okay.
plugs its brain into the shrine computer and is able to use them.
I don't think the Talus has any articulated limbs at all of his own.
Yeah,
Okay, no, I was just a little unclear what you meant by it's the Talus.
Well, because the Talus says that he interfaced with
Gotcha.
the shrine.
I follow.
So he's like running the show.
Yeah. So he's
Not
controlling it.
anymore.
He's not doing it. He's not like reaching his own arms up there like some
So
kind
my
of weird.
processor by interface is what he says.
Right.
Silk says, "Were you up in the shrine?" And he says, "Yes, my processor by interface."
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he's linked in. He sees him through the screen or whatever, and then he's like, "I know that guy," and he grabs him.
Would you like to join his LinkedIn network?
No.
You have to.
No.
He did.
Okay. Okay. Well, I still think that's super weird, though. I think. Well,
definitely-
I guess if it was someone besides Silk, it would have carried him down more gently, right? It would have been like a fun ride. Like the tentacle would have like slowly taken you down, and the Talus would like check you in. But since he's
don't
pissed
think
off
he
at
would
Silk,
ever-
it
Or
throws him
maybe,
in.
maybe you just would have opened.
Yeah,
Let
because
you
there's
come
stairs. I don't think the arm always brings you in. I think that's just like a bonus feature of the thing, or
A
like
security.
yeah.
feature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, think the Sentinels. It's exactly like the Sentinels getting Jubilee. It's big robot arms that can that are actually tentacles that can
X-Men.
wrap around you and put you inside of them. But yeah,
Okay. I had no idea you were talking about X-Men. Even when you said Jubilee, I had no idea.
That was what
I'm
tipped
sorry.
me off.
All right. Well, thanks for talking this through. I understand this all a lot better now.
Oh, but once he gets down there, in the tunnels, Silk is definitely going insane. And I don't feel like I know when it starts.
Maybe it starts with him when he kills the Talus.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't... Right, when he hits the water, he has a vision of someone who tells him, "Oh, he doesn't have a." No, he does have a vision at some point, and then gets
He has a weird dream
Yeah.
in the next chapter.
Oh, it's the next chapter. Sorry, everybody.
I believe it is. But
Yeah, it's not this chapter.
it's the next chapter kind of follows very directly. And he meets Sand and Josie.
Hammerstone.
His dream leads him to Mamelta, though, right?
His dream leads what?
Like the dream is pointing him in the direction of the sleepers. I feel like. Is that
Well,
correct?
I can't remember.
the dream ends with
Hammerstone-
Mucor talking to him. And then he
Right.
wakes up and sees Mucor.
Right. I was reading something where somebody was trying to make an argument, and maybe it worked, that Mukor is trying to have sex. He keeps possessing people because she wants to find out about sex.
And that would be cool.
Possible.
Yeah, maybe her body sucks.
It does.
I think she probably knows that, especially if she can be inside of other people's bodies. She's like, fuck, you know?
Yeah. Poor Mutor.
Yeah. She deserves better. Look at the little man.
His name is
Ooh.
Misha.
Oh.
Yeah.
This dream I wrote a lot about.
Tell us what you wrote.
Well, I feel like there's a interesting thing starts happening in this chapter where there's a motif of like people. Okay, so there's Mucor is a man in the dream. Also, we get a woman in man's clothes is the dead body that is found that the soldiers show him. The soldiers say, I think, that they think it's a woman in man's clothes, and there's no face, so still can't tell heads or tails. And then also the dogs gods thing. They call these dogs gods, and I feel like there's a motif occurring here of like in the underworld everything's backwards and upside down.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going on with the dogs god stuff.
Yeah, and that's like the most explicit, but that it's happening everywhere around him, where like things are wrong, or like they're reversed. Oh, also, Maytera Mint is a robot in the dream.
If you're getting further away from the center of the ship, I would imagine that like also weird things are happening to like gravity and stuff, like which would probably fuck with you.
Yeah, the center of the ship there's no gravity, and the more you go to the edge of the ship there's more gravity.
Yeah, but so like there's this thing where if you're like outside and it's windy, you get tired much more easily because your body, even if you're not really doing anything, you just like took a walk on a day where it was windy versus taking a walk on a day where it's not windy. Your body is using all of this energy to, it's like all these like micro adjustments that your body's making that you don't know it's making to like compensate for getting like blown around. And so like being in the wind, even doing the same activity, it takes a lot more energy, and that's why like it makes you, it's like if you'll notice now that I told you this, when you're like out in the wind, you'll be like more tired more easily. And I think it's like things like that happen to the body, like if there's a micro shift, like the gravity's just like a little bit stronger or something or whatever, can like really fuck with you. Like the human body is not calibrated for like a wide range of environments or whatever, and it's like very easily thrown off its equilibrium. And I think like anytime the body is thrown off in that way, the mind is also going to be similarly. I mean,
mind is the product of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I follow what you're saying.
That's something that I think about with like the tunnels stuff, because also, I mean, Ock takes a blow to the head or whatever, but he goes completely insane. And then also the fact that it's like really dark and what that does to you, like your sensory ability to like process stuff. It's really dark and it's like a monotonous tunnel or whatever. It's like being in an isolation tank or something.
Mm-hmm.
There's like so many factors that make it crazy making. And he just like killed the Talus, which it was like a super trauma for him.
Yeah. And this is so Wolfe because it is just the Greek underworld. Like all of these qualities are of the Greek underworld, but there's a material explanation that's happening, but in the end result is the same thing. Like like it's not just that it's any of these things. It's both, it's both and all, which,
yeah.
And I feel like
Metaphor.
Yes. What you said.
Where metaphor becomes physical reality.
Can reality happen any other way?
Yes.
How?
If you don't know the metaphor, then it wouldn't appear as metaphoric to you. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
But I guess what I'm saying is, does the cigar come into being without the metaphor?
I think that a cigar exists, and if you know that it means penis, then it means penis. But if you don't know that it means penis,
okay, I guess I'm thinking of, we think we create symbols, but in truth they create us. Like when we design the cigar and the way it looks, and like before the cigar can come into being, like the metaphor is maybe already there.
Right, but not for you. We're going to get into an argument where I think that reality is naturally subjective and that we don't have any contact with an objective reality at all. There's an objective symbol for someone standing outside of that person. The cigar is a penis, but for the adult who doesn't know about it, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're talking about like individual experience, Connor, rather than, I think, Ryan, what you're trying to get at is more of like a bird's eye view.
Right, and I don't think there is a bird's eye view.
Right.
You're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
you're not a Neoplatonist.
No, not entirely. No.
But Wolfe kind of is. Or he was, I feel like, when he wrote Earth of the New Sun.
Perhaps.
I don't know what Neoplatonist means.
I mean, it's the idea that there are ideas that exist and then they become reality. Like, the idea exists before the reality does.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I think that I can think that and still think that what I'm saying.
I guess it just has to do with if you're taking the perspective of a person that it's happening to, or a perspective of all the people that it's happening to.
Or the perspective of the symbol itself. Like, from the standpoint of the cigar is a penis.
It is.
From the standpoint of the cigar.
Yes. Yeah. I guess like a Neoplatonist says that's the realist standpoint.
That's the cigar's standpoint. It's real for the cigar.
Right. And I think that the Neoplatonic idea is like that is more true than the person who doesn't know the symbols.
This is such an interesting fight because I'm usually going in the other direction. I mean, fight is a strong word. I'm usually going in the other direction where I'm arguing, yes, that is more true, but like, I guess I'm opposed to the word more.
I mean, it is definitely a muddy fog. We're in the underworld now.
Yeah. I think it's more true for the cigar, and it's more true for the person who knows about the penis. But that doesn't make it more true for people who don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't matter to someone who doesn't know that.
Right. It doesn't.
Thank you for the thing.
I'll validate that statement. I still think starts in Kether, personally, and shoots down. Whoa, look at that Mickey Mouse hand.
It goes both ways, I guess.
Is that a cat brush?
Mm-hmm. It's the only one that works for hair bow, but Quimby really likes it.
So a part of what makes the tunnels, and what also makes like the underworld, is like you can't see the forms. You have to interact with what's under or beyond the forms. Like the one of the main differences between the world of light and then the world hidden underneath is that like the light shines on the outside of things and that's what you see. And when you take that away, the things are still there underground, but you can't deal with them by their outside appearance. And I think that's also why the person's face is missing.
This might be another tangent, but it might be exactly what you're talking about. There's also an element here of this is the underworld of the underworld. It's like a reverse underworld because the people in this book live in the underworld. This is you're talking about inside outside. It's making me think about this. They live inside. They don't live on the outside. So they are in hell.
Yeah.
And I think their lives reflect that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if this is significant, but like, so much more space must be devoted to these frozen things than are devoted to the living things.
I think so.
Because it's on the outside of a circle, which is considerably bigger than like inside of it.
Yeah.
Or at least somewhat bigger, yeah.
Well, there's definitely circumstantial evidence that the people who are frozen are rich.
They bought their way
we
online.
hashed this out before.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Mamelta was like a slave.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Well,
Like,
there's definitely rich
we
people
hashed
among
this
them.
out before. We hashed this out before.
Yeah.
There's definitely rich people among them.
There's some.
People
Okay,
who are
well,
rich.
I would never argue that that's not possible.
It does seem like it can't
they-
just be rich people.
Oh, it's definitely not rich, just rich.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
when
not
the
saying there
richest of
can't be
people
any-
die, they bury all their servants with them.
But
Right, but I think of that as like the gods, like the gods are the rich people, and they buried all their servants with them. Who
Okay.
is like the whole population of the world, and also all of the frozen people.
I guess what I'm trying to say here is I don't think that the people who are living inside the world are necessarily the people who are supposed to go enjoy the good life on Blue.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Sure, but also there are like, there are so many frozen people that inherently that means most of them are poor people. Like,
Have you read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
no.
There's a part in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy where they talk about this race of people whose planet is being destroyed, so they make 3 arcs in space. And on the A arc, they put all the people who are important that everybody likes. And on the C arc, they put all the people who actually do things. And on the B arc, they put like telephone sanitizers and hairdressers and people that society generally doesn't care about. And the people on the A arc are like, this is a great way to get rid of all these useless marketing executives and whatnot. And I kind of think that's who's on the inside of the world.
well, they're just. My idea, or like, I think we've talked about this too, is that the people on the world who are alive are just like getting it from point A to point B. They're just keeping it moving. Like, somehow, something about their life. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, the last thing I feel like when we all like went deep into this a while back, which could have possibly been the last time, but I don't remember because it's been
I
so
think it
long.
might have been.
I feel like where we got to, where we all kind of agreed about it, was that probably the function is you have all the frozen people, you have all the living people, and it's kind of like plan A, plan B, kind of like backups in case one or the other like fails. Either like the living people in the world all destroy themselves, or something happens with the like containment or whatever of all the frozen people, and either way you have like a population.
I just think that the people who live on the inside of the machine and didn't get frozen are the bottom of the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you are a nobody
sure.
frozen, you're better than the people who had to like live out the 900-year dream.
Yeah, a new hierarchy was created off of Earth, where like, yeah, maybe there are servants, etc., who are frozen, But yeah, there's a new hierarchy in town, baby.
Like in Rome, you definitely
Is Mamelta in this chapter?
no.
It doesn't really hold up though, because in the world you still have like all these, different strata of society and class.
Because people do that, they will.
Right. Yeah, like they could have naturally like just done that, but I mean, just on like a metaphor thought experiment level, like it just doesn't quite sync.
Well, I kind of feel like it tracks pretty closely to what we have now, where like we exist in a world where there's clear classes, but also like the ruling class to us, we see just like a one dimension of it, and then there's a lot of people that we'll never see or hear about or have any news about or input, but who are upper ruling class.
I guess the only aspect of this that confuses me though is the inversion of that, which is that in the world, the people supposedly living in the world are less multitudinous than the embryos and the frozen people. Like, so it would be like the 1% is like the servant class, and the 99% is.
Well, I think that's what we're saying, that there's different classes of people frozen. That we have like important people frozen, but then we also have like their slaves and their soldiers. And I feel like that makes sense when you think about in Rome, like slaves, certain slaves, and like not just a few of them, but like there were like swaths of slaves who had way better lives than people that weren't slaves, because they were slaves to like the right patricians, and those patricians had a lot of slaves.
Interesting. I always thought there was like a militaristic aspect to the frozen people, that they were like kind of all of a single mind for whatever they're going to do once they got.
There's definitely a big cachet of soldiers, but that's not the entirety of who's down there. That's like
but you're talking about like a colonization sort of like goal base. They all have the same goal and purpose.
Maybe that's a way we can think about it, is like the goal purpose people who when they wake up will kind of be in the know, but then there's also this other class of society who are just like the out of it.
Because we also talked about how the money is the cards, the chips from the lander that make the landers work. And these people, they have no conception of what the landers are and what they're for. So they take them apart. Where like the frozen people probably know what landers are and what they're for. And maybe the people on the surface were never supposed to know that there are landers there at all.
Is there an element of like that lander cannibalizing? Is that partially because of the revolt of the gods? That the gods have messed with the program? Is that part of it? I don't know.
I don't feel like that's necessary.
Yeah.
I feel like it's easy to go from like, oh, these things are valuable because they make our spaceships run, to I haven't seen any spaceships, so these cards are even more important to. I don't remember what a spaceship card, but I know this card is important.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be sabotage. It could just be an unforeseen effect of what they sent out.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
It does.
Not to derail things, but I wish we had met a couple weeks ago so we could discuss the Elon Musk SNL, if anyone saw that. And like an interesting aspect of that is that they brought up Dogecoin and Bitcoin quite a bit, which are things that are slowly seeping into my own awareness now, whether I like it or not. And at one point in one of the sketches, one of the characters asks an Elon Musk-esque person, I think portrayed by Elon Musk, like, so what is Bitcoin? And Elon Musk says pretty honestly, it's whatever we want it to be. And that reminds me of gold. And it's like, well, what is gold? Like, gold is what our money we used to be based off of, and then at some point money became whatever the fuck it is now, and it's like, and now they're like saying it's Bitcoin, which is something that I don't understand what this means, but you mine for it online, and it's like it's imaginary, but it comes out of, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's all related in the same cloud of thought. Like, it's wealth and money is a
anything
construct.
could be money. Literally
Yeah.
anything. Like our fingernails
Anything
could be
is
money, but that wouldn't make sense. But like they could be if we wanted it to.
Yeah.
NFTs. You guys want to talk about NFTs?
Can we talk
We don't have
about,
to
Not
do that.
fucking today.
can we talk about what if our currency was baby bells?
Baby bells.
I think
The
that
little-
we're getting into a
the
huge
wax wrap
problem.
cheese.
The moment we have an edible currency, we're all fucked.
Well,
I think
Like-
currency used to be edible.
not all of us. I'm gonna have a lot of that stuff, whatever it is.
Trade-based economy.
It's my.
Wait, when
But
did
baby
we ever
bell
have
is
an
the
edible
most
currency?
important thing.
I don't like food,
Only the red one.
bananas, like seeds, like
But-
grains and shit.
But food is goods. Bartering isn't using currency. Currency represents value.
Right.
That way. So like, a cow is a cow. It's not until cows are standardized to be used to purchase toilet paper
Yeah.
that become currency. If it's just like, I'm giving you this cow because this cow is the thing you want, that's a different thing. But if like I need to save up my baby bells to be able to pay rent,
No. Baby bell is just the most sought after thing because they're really good.
Are you saying baby bellas like the mushrooms?
No.
Baby
The
bell cheese.
little cheeses, the round cheeses.
Oh,
Oh.
I thought you meant tiny, like little tinkling ding-a-ling-a-ling, and I really like the idea of a sack of those being like how I buy stuff.
The currency in Animal Crossing is bells.
Oh yeah, that's true. Huh.
It is a really good one to use because they are metal.
Noisy. It's a noisy currency. So
my bell's made out of clay. I have a ceramic bell.
And the idea of a really rich person who just like strings bells all on strings and wears them everywhere and makes noise everywhere they go seems to make a lot of sense to me.
Santa Claus. He has all the toys, and he also rings bells.
Yes.
Oh, look at those two fighting little animals.
Also, Santa Claus is the most popular guy.
Most popular name?
Guy?
Oh, okay.
he is that.
In the world?
Yeah, I've seen people get furious at other people for not liking Santa Claus.
So it's an anecdotal report that Santa Claus is the most popular guy in the world, or has there been...
It's kind of creepy that all the kids have to sit on his lap.
I think
I'm just
that
gonna put
popular
that out
people
there.
are often creepy.
A little
True.
creepy.
And I mean, in my school, everybody sat on the most popular kid's lap. One of the things we didn't like about it.
What?
Oh, you didn't have a popular, handsome person that everybody was always sitting in their lap and climbing all over him and stuff? This might be because I was in chorus and everybody was touchy.
Oh, I feel like we might have had one person who was popular who would have certain girls maybe sit on their lap to indicate that they were kind of boyfriendy girlfriendy, but I don't remember there being one person that like everyone went to.
Oh man,
You sit on my lap.
Toby Ryan's sister was constantly sitting on his lap. Everybody sat in Toby Ryan's lap.
Wow, that's fascinating. I don't know why.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Oh, I did go to a weird school.
I mean, they'll probably end the sitting on Santa's lap sooner than later, I would think.
Yeah.
If sexual inappropriateness prevention doesn't get it, then hygiene probably will, huh?
Santa's canceled.
Santa is canceled.
Oh man, my brain filled that in before you sent it, and I thought you were just going to say Santa cancer,
Oh no.
which to me is funny.
Santa has cancer. That's how the parents have to explain to young people of a certain age the cancellation of Santa. They don't want to get all into the sex part and just be like, Santa got cancer.
Oh my god.
I'm just gonna say, I read the Mamelta
It's
part
got
again.
edgy.
I read the Mamelta part again, like I did last time, and they were most definitely abducted.
Sure.
She says like we were. She said like it. She said like we were volunteers. We had to. Like they asked for volunteers, and you had to.
I mean, that's how Elon will get a lot of people.
Changes my story.
What?
I don't feel like that changes what I'm thinking about the ranking in the ranking of everybody. The A.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
the
think
frozen people are A. And
took like all of society is represented.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be only poor people.
Right.
It's only people that matter. Like if everybody inside of the world dies, nobody really did. They're the last ditch. If everything fucks up, that's when those people become important.
Do the people that are living in the world have some kind of role in the plan of Paz as far as getting the other people woken up on time?
I don't know.
It seems...
I think not. I think that, like, what it seems to me is that it was a mistake to bring those people. Because they're the ones who fucked up the plan of Paz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're like destroying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like there's an element of that Silk was a specifically thrown monkey wrench to stop Paz from getting to Blue. I think.
By the Prolocutor, who is divinely inspired, do you think?
Oh! I forgot another part of No, the Prolocutor is a different story. Oak?
Well,
I've recently learned a whole bunch
The embryos are not created on the world, right? They're all in storage or whatever.
Yeah, I believe so.
And they're like dug up, for lack of a better term. Like they're
right.
kind of pilfered. They're pilfered from below.
Yeah. So one thing I was thinking about is that Paz wanted to go to Blue, and all the people on the inside of the world were there so that Paz could take over all their minds and exist as many people once it gets to Blue, all at once.
Well, that's an interesting theory. So that the people underground are society, and then the people in the middle are all going to be Paz.
That's kind of something I've been thinking, yeah.
There's something that feels like it should be on the table.
Because there's I don't know how much I want to talk about Short Sunrise. There's stuff in Short Sunrise. There's also a cool theory that wait a minute. Oh, there's a cool theory that that Typhon is from the place to which they are going.
Yeah, we talked about that last time for sure.
Mentioned that, yeah.
Which is neat.
And I brought that up because of bringing in the Prolocutor into all of this. I think that the Prolocutor, Quetzal, I think that Quetzal is against Paz. And if Paz is the guy from this other planet, they're definitely against each other.
Yes.
That's satisfying.
Yeah.
They're definitely what?
Against each other. Like they're species that have been in 1,000 years war.
Yeah. So it's not like Quetzal just opportunistically, and his race opportunistically happens on a world. Like this is part of an ongoing conflict.
I mean, that makes a lot more sense.
It does. That's
Wolfe also stated that there's a lot more in Humru in the world. That a bunch of them came over. And
Do you
then
think
there's
that they would? Do you think they would be in the church, or just scattered throughout? I mean, obviously they'd be scattered throughout, obviously. But I'm saying, like, do you think that like maybe a lot of them would be Pateras?
I think that I don't know. I think there's definitely a possibility that we see other Inhumu in this story.
That's what I'm saying, like,
because they're shapeshifters.
Yeah.
Which we were talking one time about Silk seeing the ghost of Patera Pike.
Yeah.
Flies away. That's Quetzal. Because Inhumu can take on the shape of whoever they drink from, and Quetzal has drunk from Pike for sure, though I don't remember the evidence. There's a definite point where you know that Quetzal drank from Pike.
I like this. I like it.
Because, like, Inhumu don't really have personalities, right? They just take on whatever from they fed, yeah?
Right.
They don't have a distinct personality. They're like a feeding shark.
Right, yeah.
They're like a shark crossed with an Alzebo.
Yeah.
Neat.
Or they're like a lot more Alzebo-like than they are person-like.
Correct.
Which is cool.
I think that they are a development of Wolfe's idea behind the Algarve.
Yeah. Which is such a good concept of vampires that doesn't get enough play. It's
also, in the part I was just reading about Mamelta, Mamelta is awakened by being possessed by Mucor. And Silk is just rattling on at Mamelta about Mucor, and he's talking about how also when Mucor inhabits someone, he's saying, he's like, she must also take a part of that personality on after, like in the way that the gods do or whatever. Right. But he's saying she must also be taking on part of this personality when she does that, and leaving a bit behind as well.
She has a residue scum of other person's personalities on her when she comes out of the pool of their mind. Like soap scum when you get out of a bath.
But I guess what I wonder is if she is in any way related to the Inhumu.
Mamelta?
No, Mucor.
I don't think so. I think she does a different kind of the Inhumu, even when they're taking on somebody else's personality, it's a physical thing. They also end up looking like that person. One trope that Gene does over and over in his book is a colonist population comes into a native place. The native people are shapeshifters who kill all the colonizers and shapeshift into them in order to do it. But the process of shapeshifting into the colonizers to kill them makes the natives forget that they're not the colonists, and then they just go on living the colonist lifestyle, having completely colonized the place. But they're still the natives. They just think that they're the colonists.
That so weirdly tracks to William James Sidis's idea about America being a Native American country.
Yeah. Piercing talks about it a little bit. He talks about how Americans talk slower than Europeans, and Western people talk slower than Eastern people in America. The modes of speaking that were inherent to the native people were slow and considered more so than Indo-European languages. And in order to survive, that's just something we had to take on.
Yeah, I think he got that straight from Sidis's book, which is 99 cents on Amazon for the ebook version, and it's one of the best things I've ever read in my life. It's called The Tribes in the States, and its thesis is America is a Native American country, and everything that makes America unique was directly given to it by the Native Americans who saved the colonists from death. And there's like a big, this thing you're talking about with Wolfe's idea of the colonists is like very much in Sidus's conception of modern America, that we've forgotten that we are like these people, that we it's not like we came here and killed them all. We came here and became them and then cut ourselves off completely from that part of ourselves in our history.
Well, it's an interesting idea to think that, like, if you're a colonialist culture and you want to go someplace else and bring your culture to them, that pursuit will inevitably be perverted by the fact, by the idea that culture is a product of its geography and its topography.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you're going to drift. Whatever culture you brought over here is going to drift in the direction of what you destroyed anyhow, because it wasn't just... Because imaginary things aren't just imaginary, like, they happen for reason. Culture happens because of where you are.
You're one of the
fully formed from your mind. Your mind thought of it because of the situation.
Besides the speech patterns, another thing that Sidus goes into is how all of the highways of New England are the exact mail routes that were used by the Native Americans, and every like traveling way that is still used today was handed down specifically. And in fact, the entire United States Postal Service was an idea taught to the colonists by the Native Americans, and just like adapted exactly in the form that it was given to them.
Well, I think that the Fern and Texas families in Germany would take exception to the idea that they didn't invent the Postal Service.
I would have to grab the book, but I think he says there's unique qualities to the early United States Postal Service.
I'm not saying that you're not.
Pony Express.
Certainly, there's all sorts of things that famous German families think that they've invented that were invented by somebody else. But
certainly the delivery of mail existed before people came to North America. But I have to mind the specific. I have to go back to the book to get the specifics of innovations that hadn't existed in Europe that were taken on here.
It's slippery though, because so much of Native American, thought and how they were organizing their societies was also completely eradicated and or at least suppressed.
Yeah. I think it's like what Wolfe is creeping towards here is that part of severing ourselves from it is the idea that it never entered us and we never entered it. That like two things came and existed side by side, and one pushed the other one out, and this one's gone and this one's here, when that's like not the actual dynamic. Especially I feel like when you consider that in a way the Europeans, they came to the brink of death here, and the only thing that stopped them from dying was the largesse of the Native Americans. So in a way something did die then. A lot
of things died. I'd say a lot of things died.
Yeah. They're not the same. It's not like they saved the Europeans and then the Europeans preserved themselves as they were before they died. Things. There was a fundamental shift at that point in the person that came over. I would
argue that it's not that they became Native Americans or whatever.
They just had a different experience.
Everybody came toward the middle.
Yeah. Yes.
But
that's how things work. That's not a special. That's how culture works.
Well, that's what I think. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying, but it's not
it's funny because in Wolfe, like to encounter in Wolfe, it's this strange like aliens kind of like breaking of tradition with sci-fi, and it's it seems like complex when to encounter in Wolfe, and then when you flip it around like we're doing with actual history, it seems like once you think about it, it's common sense.
This probably relates back to Wolf's experience in the military as well, because if you're in the military in an occupied country, a lot of times you're going to be in a city constructed to appeal, right, to the occupiers. And so like with bars and businesses and whatnot, like around that are made to replicate where you're from, so that you patronize them. And if you spend enough time in those kinds of parts of towns and cities, you probably get at a certain point an insight into the levels of construction there, because at a certain point those areas may come to resemble the areas they're meant to meant to portray in more honest and deep ways, but that it's still like this weird conversation. And now we just see examples of that throughout culture. But I imagine that view was shaped by Wolfe's experience in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the soldiers in this chapter, I feel like are very vivid and striking characters, much like the Talus was in the last one, where you just get like a little bit of them, but they're so impactful right away. They're very easy to see and hear. And for that reason, I feel like are easy to sympathize with.
They also are more real people than the real people, right? Like everybody else in this is a fantasy character who's living in an alien world that is missing our concepts but has other ones. And then the robot soldiers seem like they're from a world that's much more closer to ours. They make jokes that are more in our line. They have irony and sarcasm that's more like ours.
They have a confidence that's not really... Even the confidence of like the slimy remoras of the upworld isn't the same as the confidence of the soldiers down below.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Like the remoras are always, and the incuses and stuff are, and the counselors are like, power could easily slip through their hands at any moment, and they act like that. And these soldiers down here are the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
They have like perfect certainty and also perfect belief in their own, not only like perceptions, but in their abilities.
I like the robot soldiers.
Yeah. It also kind of... It seems like it harkens back to in New Sun, when he talks about how the people, when humanity goes up into space, they sort of make this more perfect version of themselves, which is the artificial human, and then they try to make themselves like artificial humans and end up like getting rid of the best part of themselves, which then the actual fake ones go and save. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Like that seems to be occurring here, that these soldiers are humanity's projected version of a better version of itself, which actually is better, but not for the reasons that people think it is.
I wonder if there are explicit ties between this book and that section of New Sun. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it could be worth going back to revisit that section.
Well, I guess our chems, chems are kind of, if not the like perfected version that we hear about in New Sun, they're at least a step that way.
Chems seem like an advancement, at least from what we see in Earth.
Yeah.
Wait, you think that chems from the Long Sun are more advanced than Sidero?
I think so.
I do not. I definitely. I mean,
I guess I don't know enough now. I'm thinking about
New
it.
Sun takes place 900 years after these things were built. And
New Sun takes place 900 years after
The world
Sun.
goes.
the stuff
Yeah,
in Long
because Typhon is the one who sent this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Typhon is a millennium pre Severian.
But that doesn't mean that technology in New Sun is more advanced.
That is true, and
It-
also the ship Zadkiel is outside of time.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
Well, I mean,
I guess just the idea that Hammerstone is more. I don't get with the idea that Hammerstone is more advanced than.
Yeah. The more I think about it, the
No,
more
an
equivalent
avocado.
they are. They're just a little different. Okay, here's how they're different: is that Sidero is intentionally constructed to contain a human, right?
Yeah,
Whereas
I think of that as more advanced.
Where the chems are more supposedly autonomous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Well,
just,
no, Sidero's completely autonomous. He just also can be an exosuit. I mean, when Severian encounters him, there's nobody inside of him.
right,
So, like, Sidero's completely autonomous.
but not once Severian enters him, which sounds gross when I say it, or sounds sexy when I say
That's
it.
an
But
event.
It is gross
Like-
when it happens.
Like,
love.
It's a very rapey. It's a very very rapey scene.
that's what I mean. Yeah,
it's entirely rapey, which I mean,
but that
Severian is a rapist.
that function seems more servile
True.
to, whatever you want to define as an authentic
Right,
human thing.
A robot is a tool. Like a robot that is more servile is a more advanced robot. Like if a robot can think and be a full person, but is also more useful to people, that's
You think it's more advanced?
yeah, a tool that you can use for more and better things is a more advanced.
Cool.
A
Yeah,
tool that
I
is
think
going to
that's
argue
like
that
I think
is a
that's
tool
where
that hasn't
yeah.
gotten there
The-
yet.
Yeah, sure. I hear you. Yeah, that's where the definition kind of it's just like two different things. But yeah,
Yeah. You got to
Makes
stop
sense.
thinking of robots. In order to healthily think of robots, you have to stop thinking of them as a form of life that's trying to exist, and you got to think of them as a bunch of forks. And if your forks start revolting, that's a bad fork, and you could do a better job. Fork.
yeah.
I don't want my fork to have a personality.
Right.
We're heading in that direction, though, because my refrigerator has one.
I guess it's just like think of like something less than robots, like computers, and like 15 years from now, your computer might be able to run your life for you, without you having to ask it to. And in a way, that could be considered more advanced, right? But in the way that the technology has improved. But what you're saying is that really that is not a desirable level of technology, and therefore it is in a way more useful to humans and therefore advanced to be more easily controlled.
Yeah. I think you go through. I mean, this is just exactly the story that Ryan was talking about robots having to teach them how to feel again. Like,
Yeah.
go through a phase where you're like, it's a good idea to have a robot that's exactly a human being, and then you're like, that wasn't a good idea. We're gonna make more advanced robots that aren't thinking on their own.
Yeah. That's interesting. Science fiction.
Have you guys ever used a Fire Stick?
No.
It's really interesting because it has like a screensaver. Yeah, like it'll show you like beautiful land.
What is a fire stick? What's a fire stick?
It's a USB stick that you plug into like a TV or a projector or something, and it allows you, without any other device, just access your Wi-Fi and then go on and watch like Amazon Prime or Netflix or all of the above.
Okay.
Yeah, and it has like a sort of a home screen, you know, that has all your different services and all the ones they think you should also buy. And
it's like a Roku.
yeah, I think it is the same thing. It's just like a different brand of the same device. And so when it just sits there, it has a little screensaver and it'll show you like a beautiful mountain or like a lake or something. And then at the very bottom left-hand corner of the screen, there'll be a suggestion of something you could say to Alexa. Because all the Fire Sticks have Alexa, I guess they're Amazon products. And it's really weird because it's like training the person how to treat their machine more like the person that it needs to be. You know, it's like, hey, you guys, you don't realize that this thing has a personality. Let me teach you how to know, interact and activate your machine's personality. And the suggestions are really funny. They'll be like, Alexa.
Do you mind? I don't want to be rude. I'm really into this conversation and I want to hear it later on, but I have to pee so bad.
Oh yeah, you should go pee.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to repeat yourself when I come back. Sorry. I'll be back.
It would be wonderful if I could actually pull up the I should run downstairs with my computer and show what I'm talking about.
Sure.
I know. Yeah. I follow what you mean. What you're talking about.
Yeah. Have you seen it? It's like a thing of every time I'm sitting downstairs and it comes on, I want to whip out my phone and be like, I can't believe this is real. Take a picture of it. And then I fall into the thing of like, I'm using my phone to take a picture of this other weird machine. And I'm going to post it. It just gets all too much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to get to the point in your life where you start to see where technology is going bad, and then that's when you're fulfilling the same cycle of like becoming like an old person. Like, technology is bad and scary, and it is, and it always has been. But yet, the young people are going to be like, "Oh man, you can talk to your phone." Like,
it's like I almost like would be. I'm like less sad that young people don't think it's bad as I am that they don't think it's hilarious.
Right.
Like that there would be nothing funny about the whole phenomenon of Alexa and Amazon's attempt to teach me how to use it. Like that wouldn't strike a chord of humor in a person. That to me is like more terrifying and depressing because it's so funny.
It is still in a funny, awkward stage right now, the technology.
Yeah, but so the question is the suggestions that it'll make, some of them will be like, Alexa, how do I prepare what's the best temperature for a boiled egg? Or Alexa, play me indie music. Or there's one that's, Alexa, tell me a ninja joke.
A ninja joke?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they want you to interact with it.
Yeah, and they have all these weird things. I guess you're going to be like, oh, that's cute. Oh, I didn't realize. Okay, and then you go, oh, no, Alexa, tell me a joke. I'm tickled by that. Alexa's so sweet.
I want you to try it.
Yeah, but it's all these. It's like these really strange things. Alexa, what shows are good right now? Like there's this wide a variety of like really things that would never occur to me to ask Alexa. So it's fulfilling. It's like ticking that box.
Honestly, the only interesting that this is a part of the like becoming an old person conversation, because some of the only people I know in my life who use the voice activated stuff are old people.
Are actually older people. Yeah.
Like I feel like a couple of people closer to my age who will like ask Siri to set an alarm for them or something. But like I don't know. I mean, my bubble is a little bit different, I guess, but I see so many of these features in technology that rolls out, and only some people actually like kind of regular, really consistent users will actually get into it. But like the old person will be like, well, this is fun.
One day
I think it's you saying that about age. I think it's like an accessibility issue where like it probably is actually quicker and faster to use the touch screen on the phone, but if you can't see very well, or if your like your finger mobility isn't as great as it used to, maybe it actually is faster and better to ask Alexa to do it for you.
Yeah, I think that kind of thing is under the accessibility, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is, in fact.
There was one day where I was just like, oh, whoa, and I just kind of went off and kept trying to like test the limits of Alexa, and I was surprised at where they were, because like I think there was one that was like, Alexa, I want to kill myself, and then it gave me information about suicide hotlines. And there was one, I feel like I asked it like, Alexa, am I gay? And it said, it gave me like an affirming statement of like, whatever you are, it's okay. And it had like, every time I tried to like get it into an awkward position, like someone had beaten me there.
There's a fun part about this in Mr. Robot, where the white hat hacker who hates people can only interact with his computer just got finished masturbating to porn, and then is asking Alexa like scheduling questions, and then she realizes she doesn't ever talk to anybody. She's like, Alexa, do you love me? And stuff like that.
Yeah, it has answers for that stuff. It's like,
yeah,
I mean, it's funny because it's intentionally to try to get you to fall in love with Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. It's like, that's someone's like innovative contribution to their field, and their work has been like to be the one that walks in the room and goes, you know what, like people are going to ask Alexa if they're gay.
But this kind of but like this makes me think about Nintendo, and how when Nintendo got into the video game industry after having made playing cards for thousands of years, they looked at video games, which was collapsing at the time. It was not a good time for video. People didn't give a shit. And Nintendo was like, what does this need? Lovable characters. People need to fall in love with these games and have a relationship with them, and that's how we'll bring video games back. And you know what? It worked, and we still play video games today.
Yep. It's infected our entire culture, that concept, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's all that fucking people fucking care about is their fucking licensed fucking guys.
Nintendo is amazing.
I mean, also, the thing, whenever I'm in like somebody's car and they have like the GPS on,
mm-hmm.
and then they're saying like, she said blah blah blah, I'm like, she?
Yeah.
And every time it happens, I'm like, what? And it like really stands out to me, but it's like normal. I don't know. That really weirds me out whenever people call their phone she.
It's not unprecedented, but I see what you mean, because it's like our brain is like, oh, woman's voice, woman phone. Like
yeah,
it's ascribing like personhood to the thing, but you're not really thinking about it. But like, yeah.
Well, because the more you do that, the more there is this kind of like emotional relationship with it, like like
with a map. 20 years ago, your map wasn't a person.
Yeah. Now you can't buy a map.
Well, yeah, you can.
Okay.
I was lost and stopped in at a gas station and asked the people about local landmarks and where a road was, and they were all like, I don't know where anything is around here. And I said, well, this is a gas station. Can I buy a map? And they were like, no, we don't sell maps. And I said, well,
I mean, it depends on the gas station.
Yeah.
Most of them. You can't buy maps at a gas station. I mean, like truck stops, okay. Gas stations, no.
I feel so blessed to have been able to like experience going to another country by myself with no smartphone. Like, it seems superhuman now that I did this at a very young age.
I refuse to ever like have service when I'm traveling out of the country. Like I buy a map when I go to. I do that. I buy a map. I'm not trying to like find Wi-Fi all the time or whatever.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Annoying.
It's kind of like the point of travel, I feel like, in a lot of ways, is to
But
be
it's like way more annoying to have to like find Wi-Fi than just have a map in your backpack.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess people just like pay for their roaming or whatever, international.
Yeah, that's what I
blah,
do.
but that shit is like, I'm like, no. Half the point is like, no one can call me.
Well, it's funny. I feel like people don't have the trust in maps or in their own ability to read them, which is like, I feel like it would be unexpected to somebody 20 or 30 years ago. I feel like that was in a way, in the world, they're like, I don't feel like the great grandpas would have, or the great great grandpas, or how you probably have to go back farther than that, but I feel like the ancestors would not have predicted the people using the microchips as currency. That would like blow their minds that some people were doing something that stupid. And I feel like we have the same thing with, I don't think people would have, like World War II soldiers or whatever would be able to have possibly, they'd be flabbergasted by the idea that people would have less faith in a map and their own ability to read it than they would that their phone can tell them where to go whenever they want. It's weird. Yeah. It's a weird concept, like out of context.
Yeah, I watched a Back to the Future reunion thing on like Jimmy Kimmel or something when it was the 50th anniversary of Back to the 50th. But whatever, it was some anniversary for Back to the Future. And the whole thing was about how much Back to the Future didn't anticipate what phones would do. Like Doc Brown just keeps asking, like, do you have these replicators and do you have this machine and where's this machine? And they're like, no, the only thing we have are phones. That's the only invention we have is we made phones. That's it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was hilarious.
We have such an interesting and unforeseen relationship to helplessness. But none of the future stuff.
Well, like literally no one can do anything. Like you. It's so weird. I feel like I recognize that I'm on an extreme end of the spectrum or whatever as far as like the things that I do, but it's like weird to me that like fixing things in your house is like weird. Like, and I don't even.
Well, they don't even make things that you're supposed to fix.
Yeah.
Like it's assumed.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. But it used to be like not that long ago that most people had like some basic skills in a wide variety of areas because nobody had nobody had the expendable capital to like hire someone every time like some like really stupid thing happened in your house or whatever. Or like, anyway, but I just think it's weird. Like, just in passing, in conversation, you like mention that you're fixing something. People are just like,
this makes me think about it.
Even in our friend group, which is mostly like people who like to do stuff with their hands or whatever, it's pretty uncommon. But then when you go out into like normal people world, it's like unfucking heard of.
This is making me think of a cool discussion I saw about Andrew Jackson, where somebody was shocked and scandalized that Andrew Jackson felt like experts are stupider than the common man. And they were like, just like, by definition, how could that possibly be? How could someone think that? And I think that that Andrew Jackson felt the same thing that you're talking about. Everybody knows esoterica about something, and no one has just this common how to get by day-to-day knowledge anymore. And therefore are stupider seeming to a person who's just like, I'm just trying to get by.
Well, the extension of that is like, okay, well, I'm not really an expert in plumbing, so I can't do any plumbing. And then it's like,
Right.
well, I'm not, but which is not true. You can still do basic plumbing. Like, you don't have to be a master plumber to do basic plumbing. You don't have to be a master electrician to do like basic electrical work. It's like really not complicated. Like, these things are not complicated. They're like very simple. Plumbing is like water in a tube. Like, it's gravity. It's really not. But then it's like each time you do that step, like each time you're removing and it's like, it's weird. It's like the flip side of the coin of the part we were talking about earlier about how everyone has an opinion about everything. It's so weird that that's happening at the same time as this other thing where everyone's like, well, I'm not the expert. And so they also, like, the extension of the I'm not an expert, I have to call an expert about it. The ultimate extension of that is that you outsource even all of your critical thinking to someone else. And then it's weird that that's happening at the same time as the, like, everyone has an opinion about something thing. Because you're like, it's not even your opinion that's the opinion that you're saying. It's like someone else's opinion who you think of as the authority on the topic, and you're saying, like, I'm on that person's team or whatever. And it's just like this bizarro world landscape where I'm constantly confused by people. I like can't, it's like people just are really confusing to me at this point. Everything is like, but it's like you think you're right, but you also, like, you're obsessed with the idea that you're right about something, but you also don't have any, like, foundational arguments to explain why that thing is happening because someone else made that deduction for you. And then you try to, like, argue with someone about something, and it's like you're, like, talking to a brick wall because they're just saying, like, well, I think it because I think it. And you're just like, but why? You know, like, no one can ever tell you why. I don't know.
I think that there's kind of two different flavors of this going on right now, and that's why it's so much happening at the same time, where it's like the right demands that you have opinions on everything, but that they're uninformed. The left doesn't let you have opinions. You have to defer to an expert, but everybody doesn't want you to think.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it's just that the right does this. I think they do the same thing. It's just they're semantically different. Like you don't call on the right. You don't call the person an expert, but you're still deflecting to like someone else's idea about something. Whether it's,
I guess,
like,
I don't necessarily feel. I think of the
or
woman
fucking
who says
Trump or Alex Jones or whoever the fuck on Fox News. You're still getting your idea from someone else.
I don't feel that about the Trump on the right.
There's this concept that it's not elitist or something. That it's like it's not someone above you.
I don't think
someone who's, like, on your same level or something.
I don't think that the Trumpers have an idea. You know, like, I don't think they're deferring to Trump as an expert. And in fact, I think that we're going to more and more find that they're not deferring to Trump. They just want to fuck with you. You know, that's how come they can say things that they don't mean all the time, because they're not trying to make an argument. They just have a strong opinion, and hopefully you don't like mine.
Well, but the liberals aren't trying to make an argument either. I mean, I've been
right because an expert has made that argument, and how dare you not acknowledge that?
I've been fighting with my whole family for the last week about Israel, and it is like
they're not into it.
Fucking insane. It's always like this. It's been like this my whole adult life as, like, the lone anti-Zionist in a Jewish family. But, like, it is, like, so much crazier now. Because just there's no, like, there's just no foundation. I mean, my arguing with my dad has always been like this because he's a libertarian, and it's just like the more you drill down, the less it had, like, it's like the softer the material becomes or whatever. But, like, the liberals are the same exact way. It's like exactly, functionally, it's exactly the fucking same. No one's ideas are based in anything.
Yes.
They're all like, it's all identity.
It's all brand
like,
loyalty.
Image. It's like your personal image of yourself is which, like, it's like branding. It's just like which one you choose. Like, you choose the one that's like aesthetically pleasing or whatever to you, and that's the one you go with. But it's like there's no meaning anywhere. There's
no
like never
moral
any
compass.
fucking meaning anywhere. It's infuriating. It's so crazy.
I think that, like, for people like us, there's like this jump that we're gonna make where instead of, like, we've been kind of taught and molded to think of there being two sides, good and bad, and I think what we're like getting to now is that there's not good and bad, and that someone else's ideology or their, like, whatever it is, like, isn't necessarily bad. It can just be incoherent, and that, like, we need to get away. We need to get escape from good versus bad and get towards coherent versus incoherent, which is like there can be multiple things that are incoherent. There could be multiple things that are coherent. It doesn't have to be one versus one, but they are two different things.
You can't. It's just like the thing I'm always trying to introduce is like any level of rigor, and they're just. It's like that is what people fight me on. Like, that's what I feel like I'm being fought on. It's like, well, no, this is the answer.
Yeah. If you're trying to lead me away from the dogma, I know you're wrong.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't have to hear what you're saying. I know where the direction you're going is away from the thing that keeps me safe. And so, no, you have a problem.
Yeah, and the Israel-Palestine issue is like such a perfect example of that, because when you dig one step into the conversation, the other person's point of view breaks down. It breaks down. You're not basing that on anything. You can't say there's like Hamas has been bombing Israel and oppressing Israel. Like, there's no other step after that. Like,
you drill down and it really comes down to
so incoherent.
The most important thing being the existence of a Jewish state, and anything like, and then if that's the end, that's the end. You can't get past that. It's like the door slams in your face. It's like my cousin literally said to me the other day, well, you know, I get that maybe it's not important for you like to have a Jewish state, but it is to me. And it's like, yeah, I would much rather have. I said, like, I value human life over any other thing, like, you know, dignity.
Yeah.
Any like civil rights and human life is like, and if you're saying, because she was saying, like, you know, if Israel ceases to exist, the Jews will cease to exist, and then she said, I think history would back me up on this, and I was like, we've persisted for millennia. I think the history backs me up on this. The Jews aren't going fucking anywhere. Like, that
thank God. Or
but
Yahweh said, or whoever yours is.
Furthermore, if like, I have no dignity and like the value of human life and people having basic dignity and rights is more important to me than any religion. And if you have a religion that doesn't value those things, then I have no use for that. Like, what the fuck is the point of keeping the religion together if it's gone so far off that it's just like psychotic? What's the point?
It's so uncomfortable.
What's the point of preserving it? What's the point of preserving it if the core ideals have been completely like lost?
But I mean, it's so creepy though, like, because it's like what's occurring right now is what? Genocide.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Bible told them to do that in the first place.
I don't mean to drill into territories where I don't belong.
Jews really don't lean on that narrative stuff as much as Christians do. Like, Jews, it's all about like what's happening now, modern shit, like, at least like the type of like liberal Jews that I'm dealing with. I'm not dealing with like
Yeah.
you know, like ultra Orthodox Jews.
Talmud
Violent,
thumpers.
Like,
Do they think that the rest of religions should have their own ethno-states as well? Should I be living in
I
Catholic
don't
land?
know. I'm
called the
sure
Vatican.
that if you press them on it, they wouldn't. So, like, I'm sure that if you press them on it, they wouldn't. It's like
Should the Muslims have their own country?
The fact of the reality is that this shit is like, they start you on this shit from like the moment you're born.
Yeah.
It's like
birthright and crap.
It's so fucking insanely, like, the narrative is so stringent, and it starts immediately from birth, you know? And people, it's just like impossible. It takes too much work for people to like see out of that. It's like they just can't do it. It's like, if you do that, if you switched sides now, your whole life would be invalidated or something. It's so wild. It's so wild. And then it's like they, you know, like Israel, they want to wipe Israel off the face of the map. It's like, dude, Israel has nukes. Like, you're not gonna bomb Israel off of the earth. Israel has nukes. Like, that's not happening. I said the only thing that will destroy Israel is its own, just like sheer callousness and like abject moral failing. Like, if it just gets to the point where no one can support it anymore, that's what will be its downfall. Like,
I feel like that is a reoccurring theme in a book called the Old Testament.
I also said Zion is not a physical place. Zion is in the heart. And no one responded to that.
What?
Well, because it's a mountain.
They
God
really
damn it,
don't
it's the
like
mountain.
that. They're gonna completely ignore that one though.
Ugh. Tell them to read that Alan Moore book, Jerusalem.
But literally, my one cousin was like quoting Barry Weiss. It's just like.
But she's horrible. Do they not know she's horrible?
She's the worst. Like, oh, I just said I have no intellectual respect for that person. You're gonna have to come with someone else. And then her husband was just like screenshotting the IDF Twitter account. And he was like, this is for a different perspective. And I was like, you can't. An official military Twitter account is not exactly like going to be the most reliable source of information. You guys like remember WMDs at all? Like, any government, any military.
The answer is no. No one remembers WMDs.
Literally any information of any country. It's just so crazy.
One thing that always stuck with me from like my first encounters with this argument when I was younger was when, does anyone remember when whoever the Iranian president at the time was like, you know, he was being confronted for their support for Hezbollah or whoever it was. And he was like, yeah, we think that there should be a Jewish state. We just think maybe it could be in Germany. And I don't hear anyone ever invoke that anymore. And I remember when I was a kid, I was like, it's settled. That was it. That was the last word for me. I was like, that's funny. And I don't know how to, like, I don't know what you'd say to it. So I've had the same opinion about this whole issue ever since then.
Well, it's Zionism as a political project predated the Holocaust. And then that was just, like, the Palestine thing was a goal before World War II happened, and that was just an expedient way to like get political support for that project. So it's also like that is like a cute thing, but it's like that's just not how the history works out.
This is a controversial conspiracy-ish theory, but isn't the Zion project a BP project?
I've heard that.
I don't know.
The Brits are the ones who got Israel, like England.
That is true. That is true. They had originally promised Palestine to be like an independent Arab state, and then they just like switcherooed it.
Yeah, for on the instigation of the oil.
Yeah, BP.
Yeah, I think one of Adam Curtis's movies has got a bunch of that in it.
Seems
Bitter
like
Lake.
it's there.
Yeah, that one. The lake one.
Bitter Lake.
Don't get me wrong, I love.
I heard it. I mean, I do too, but
Yeah.
I also find them infuriating.
Hey,
Which is probably what a lot of people would say about me. So it's only fair.
we
Likeable but infuriating.
are birds of a feather. We got our molester priests. You got your Zionists, nutcases. Like Catholics and Jews are peas in a pod.
Intermarrying for
True.
over 2,000 years.
And making some of America's best art for the last 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 years.
The blacks have a big corner on that market too.
That's true, but they don't have a monopoly.
No, not a monopoly.
The Jews definitely, I feel like, have created a lot of comedy that we'd be very impoverished without.
Also,
And
Secret Chiefs 3,
the
a
band?
fantastic
Also what?
klezmer core band.
Ah, yes. Isn't there members of Mr. Bungle in this band? No, the Kaiser Chiefs.
No, Secret Chiefs 3 is everybody in Mr. Bungle except Mike Pett.
Okay.
Cause fuck
Oh my
that.
god, you guys! It's noon now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good
Sorry
that we
I
did
went-
solve.
I'm sorry, I went into Israel Palestine. It's just like been.
We gotta talk
There's
about
like
this
a
stuff.
family WhatsApp thread that's like all my aunts and uncles and cousins and shit. It's like a bunch of people, like 30 people on there, and it's been blowing up really hard. And it's usually just like me fighting everyone else.
My heart goes out to you.
There's been coming in a little bit, which is helpful. But then there's all these filter downs. Like there's that WhatsApp group, and then there's the one that's like the Kirby family subsection. That's like all my siblings and my dad. And then there's the one that's just the siblings without my dad. And then there's like the
And
one
there's
I
one
have with
that's
my
just
sister,
you.
and they're all like referencing each other all the time. Oh my god.
That sounds
It's
like
really
hell.
Funny.
A teeming multitude.
It's funny because you can just jump out of the main chat into the side chat and be like, what the fuck?
It sounds fun.
Which is really helpful. Like, you need that.
Yeah.
Like,
I've
what
made
the
a
fuck
bunch
is
of new
Aunt
friends.
Barbara trying to say right now?
Technology, once again, giving us the poison and the antidote.
Like alcohol. The cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Alcohol, and which is funny because Kaczynski's famous quote, humanity with technology is like an alcoholic with a barrel of wine. The circle of life.
I'm into that anti-technology thing. I'm each day I'm more and more against agriculture. I think that agriculture ruined our ability to be happy.
Do you fuck with Daniel Quinn?
No.
Oh, Daniel Quinn is great. He's a from Texas guy. He wrote a book called Ishmael.
Okay.
Have you heard about that one?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. So Ishmael's about a guy who's like kind of like dissatisfied with life. I would say similar to some of the people in this group. Like the answers aren't really nothing's adding up. All he knows is he's kind of a dissident, but can't find the group. He sees a classified ad one day that says like a teacher looking for a student must have an earnest desire to save the world. So he answers it, and it leads him to an apartment that has straw all over the floor and the strong smell of a zoo because there's just a gorilla in an apartment. And he sits there for a little while after being freaked out and realizes he and the gorilla can communicate. He doesn't know how, he gets it. And the gorilla gets him, and then the gorilla teaches him about what happened with humanity. And I got it when I was like in ninth grade or something, and it completely changed the world for me. And it's got a sequel called The Story of B, which is about
I've heard of that.
Oh yeah, you got to read Ishmael first though, because it's the ideas are completely linked, and you need Ishmael, I feel like, to get a lot out of B. But that's an even more exciting book, and some similarities to Long Sun in that the main character is a priest, whose job is to hunt down possible antichrists for the Vatican, to go investigate people that maybe are the Antichrist. And he gets to this guy who teaches a continuation of what Ishmael, the gorilla, had been teaching. But it's a lot of what you're talking about. It's about how agriculture was where it started to go wrong, and he's got really, really interesting ways of tying that into history, and it's very simple. It's like it's a high school freshman can get it all. And one of the coolest things is he explains Genesis. He makes Genesis like all the weird stuff in Genesis has a root right in this conflict of like
totally.
Cain kills Abel because Cain is the agriculturalist, and God rejects that lifestyle and wants people to live as the nature intended. There's food everywhere. You're fine. You're okay. You'll live. You'll have a great life. You'll hardly ever work if you don't work.
Wait a minute. Wait, God rejects? Okay.
Yeah, Cain is the sacrifice of the vegetables, the product of the farm.
In my college class on the Bible, they explain why God rejects the farmer's sacrifice in a great way. Of like, if you take a bunch of wheat and set it on fire, it just smells like a bunch of burning wheat, and you're not going to eat it afterwards. But if you set fire to meat, you cook it, and it's better, and it smells great.
That is a very 20th century materialist interpretation of that story.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty perfect for like a representation of what our culture believes.
Well, a minister taught me that. What I've been reading a lot lately is a bunch of recent archaeology being done about the beginning of agriculture and how our lifestyles change. Like the entire concept of ownership starts then. The entire concept of nativism starts then, as well as burying our dead. We never did that until we were like, our ancestors, we got to plant them in this ground because this is ours, and this is our claim. The cult of the skull suddenly evolves, and we start worshiping our ancestors instead of just asking for them to make things less shitty. It's a real fascinating thing.
Yeah, you could probably read Ishmael in like 2 days. I think you'd love it.
And like, you can't like domesticated food is less healthy, but we can make so much more of it, so you can support more people in shittier lives.
It's all about power.
It is. It's power plays.
Power. Everything always comes back to how rotten power is.
But we didn't have this for 10,000 years. And people think this is so inevitable, and it's really an aberrant blip.
And it'll be gone again in 1000.
But yeah,
well,
no more fun.
I think it's time, you guys.
Time to throw all of our laptops into the garbage. Go outside and find berries.
Face mask, Connor.
It's too late, but I've been making it.
That's what you've been doing.
Yeah,
that looks cool.
I gotta make one more symbol here, but it's really complicated, so I didn't want to do it while we were talking. I already touched this up like 8 times.
I see earth, water, air, and fire. What are the other 4?
It's going to be the formula for my tarot card spread. So this is Id the heart. This is Shoot the shadow. Ren the name. Ta the oversoul. And it's going to be a little human-headed bird down here that is Ba, the little bird.
Ooh.
Yeah. But I know we're not going to wear masks anymore, but I'll just wear this for my own fun.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
A little bit.
The government says we don't have to.
Yo, there's like a big thing though, like happening. I feel like it'll get more visibility soon with disabled and immunocompromised people being like, hello, like, we don't know if you're still spreading it or not. Like, most of the people that had it before the vaccine were asymptomatic. If the vaccine isn't like 100% effective, you can be asymptomatic walking around with it, even though you got, et cetera, et cetera. But immunocompromised people are very upset about Biden being like, yeah, take it off. What the fuck?
Biggest mask you've ever seen. Remember when Trump said that about Joe?
Biggest mask you ever seen.
Man.
I came in here wearing a big fat mask.
Sad.
Let's jump.
Oh, good thing he'll be president again in 3 years.
Yeah, it will be.
No way, it's going to be The Rock.
It probably will be.
Everybody wants it.
Even me.
The only person who doesn't want it is The Rock.
He'll come around.
He doesn't have a choice.
Somebody at some point will be like, "Look, man, you won't have to do anything."
Yeah, president doesn't
raise
do
your
much.
eyebrow,
Well,
man.
the reality is, he wouldn't even have to campaign if everybody just wants it. He doesn't have to do anything. You just have the election cycle, and then you're like, sorry, dude, you're the president.
I don't want him to be the president because I don't want to stop liking him. I love The Rock now, as is, and in theory, yes, let's have him be president. But also, if he is the president, it will ruin him.
I have this weird faith that he might be able to be the guy who puts his eyebrow up and gets us all in on the joke that the president has no power. And, he does his little promos in such a way, hearkening back to the great promos of SmackDown's debut, where we all understand the joke together. He's playing it straight, but he's also saying poontang pie, and we all know what that means. That to me is the best case scenario of the Rock presidency, is he turns it into an open joke, and we all go, that's a contribution. That is a good, he got us. He moved the discourse at least that far.
That's cool.
He finished the job that Jesse the Body started. Jesse the Body walked so that the Rock could run.
Well, because Jesse the Body wasn't joking.
No. But he did tell us, this whole thing is just wrestling.
Right.
Anyway, I'll be working for Marianne, though, until in the next election.
Wellington?
Yeah. I'm going to be offering my services in any capacity to Miss Marianne.
That'd be tight. Go door for door for her. That would feel good.
I'd do anything, but I feel like I would be better used not as a door-to-door guy, but somewhere a little higher up the chain.
Communications and PR.
Something.
Head of
finance. Ryan's
You
shooting for finance.
you should start getting in with her people now.
That's my intention.
Have you contacted them already?
I mean, no. I've tweeted at her.
Maybe you should make sure that she knows, so she knows to run. Because what if she doesn't? But if she knows that you want to be involved, she might be more likely to.
No, you gotta get in now. You gotta start laying the groundwork. Like when the campaign starts, all that shit's already figured out.
That's true.
All right.
You have to develop the relationship.
That's a very good point.
I do also need to I'm gotta find my route in a way that incorporates my natural tendency towards laziness. So I feel like best, as far as best utilizing my energies.
Wouldn't that mean that it would make sense to do it in the slowest way possible with me starting now?
Yes.
That is not how a lazy person thinks.
I know.
You can't be lazy and act like that, Jim. That's not going to work.
I know, because the reality is that
you are doing the opposite.
Because the reality is that being lazy is more work.
It is.
It is.
I was so pleased to discover that it's not that I'm lazy, it's just that I can't control my concentration.
Oh, are you on...
Working really hard on something that nobody cares about.
Are you on speed now?
Bring myself to work on something. What?
Are you on speed now?
No, I find that marijuana is what helps me. Speed makes it worse for me.
Respect.
Instead of being able to spend 10 minutes on a thing, I can only spend 30 seconds on.
That makes sense.
And that only ever ends in masturbation. One way or another.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Hey,
2
hold on a
weeks, I
second.
think,
Wait, before we all go, I was like, do any of the like self-identified writers want to hang out a little bit for like a couple minutes afterwards? I kind of wanted to talk about like writing a little bit.
Hell yeah.
I sent a couple of stories out to everybody. Did anybody?
Yeah. And I've known.
Wait, did I get those?
I don't know.
When did that happen? What was format were they?
I guess
it could be a
3
side
weeks ago
thing,
at this point.
wait, this is the conversation for after, though. Right?
Yeah.
I have to go.
Yes.
But also, 2 weeks from today is my birthday.
Oh shit, we have some comments. Corey must have jumped in late in the game. I stopped looking after a while.
Are they good comments or are they boring?
Santa's lap photos are the reason for the season. Then some information that I didn't know. You can talk to Pikachu on Alexa. I'm going to try that today. And, I think he beat us to the chase about BP.
Mm-hmm.
He also lulled. I'm guessing that was at my enthusiasm for Marianne, which is entirely serious. I think Marianne's the first candidate of my lifetime that treats people that vote with respect. She acknowledges that we're complex individuals with like multiple motivations, sometimes conflicting, and that to me is priceless in a leader.
All right. Well,
Wick, I like that.
bye
right.
internet. Bye, Jen.
Yeah, I'll disconnect and we can talk about writing.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
internet. We'll miss you
2
so much.
weeks.
Hi, everybody. Good luck with all your kitties, Jen.
Oh yeah, they're all asleep.